streaming right now, and it's almost about to hit Chrome, and I think we are live. We got the little live symbol says we're going, so go ahead, D-Bake, hit us
Heck
off.
yeah. Welcome back again, my planetary brothers and sisters. You're tuned into a little bonus live stream, doing a little late night chats, going on a little cosmic road trip. No rules tonight, and we're going to be talking about some cool stuff. I'm joined by my brother Taychilla. You know him. I'm D-Bake the Wise. All the socials are in the description. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, if you care about what we're doing, sure, go ahead and follow us. If you are a returning member and you have not hit that subscribe button, I do want to remind you to rub up against that subscribe button and maybe even press it. And if you're feeling lucky, hit that notifications button so you are up to date with all of the cosmic broadcasts. It helps us keep up to date with our followers and it helps you keep up to date with all the celestial news. So, today, like I said, this is a bonus broadcast. We weren't even planning on doing this, and we were like, you know what? You want to go live again? We'll go live again. We went live this morning, so if you're tuned in now and you haven't heard the broadcast from this morning, go check it out. We're talking about some cool stuff. We're just analyzing the Jake Barber stuff, diving deep into the entire egg lore. All of a sudden, these eggs are appearing out of nowhere, but we're not here to talk about that tonight. So if you want all the juicy scoop, go check out that live stream. Do us a favor, hit the like on the video too, because it helps us get into the algorithm, helps us get to that front page so we can get the message out to the rest of the, I was going to say human, but let's say cosmic family, because, they can watch us out on the other planets too. um, Today we are talking about some wild stuff. So, the cosmic language source code, the underlying code behind the matrix of reality. Can we decipher it? Can we understand it? And if there is a cosmic source code, what does it do when we start to understand and apply this to actual physics and reality? We got a lot of cool stuff to show you guys. I hope you guys do enjoy the show. I know you guys usually do enjoy the show. And all the haters, that's fine. Keep leaving the comments. We love it too. Um, Tay Chill has a little bit more insight onto the story than I do, so I'm gonna toss it over to him right now. If you want to get the
Yeah,
people right in their throats.
so cosmic language, source code, when people talk about source code, the matrix behind reality, is there an actual literal symbol-based language that can manipulate reality? Because that would kind of suggest that we are sort of running inside a code, right? It wouldn't just be binary language, but it would be a more complex language. And some people would say, oh, that means we're within like a simulation, I guess. But the angle that I think that this whistleblower, this report is going to show us might actually be that there is a symbol language, but what it does is it contains something like musical language in the way that music represents real like frequencies and sounds in the universe, and we just condense it into a certain rule set for our specific environment of how sound travels. But as it's at its base, it's frequencies and notes which actually deal with mathematical relationships in the universe. So if music can represent that, can there actually be a written language that is very connected to the actual mathematics of the universe? And if so, can we actually run this language as a sort of way to manipulate, I guess, space, time, and energy around us by sort of like putting this into a specific energy field? That's what these documents that we're going to look at is proposing. And allegedly, this is from a sort of leaker who was reverse engineering alien tech at a lab in Silicon Valley, Palo Alto in the 80s, 1980s. And this was leaked out in about 2006. And it's really fascinating. The document it looks legitimate. It looks like a real technical document. And what you're looking at is a photo of a personal anti-gravity generator. And there's some really interesting descriptions of how this thing works and what these symbols mean. And a part of the reason why this is sort of resurfacing, why I want to bring this up, is that recently there's more talk about these UAP crash retrievals and alien technology, but it's mostly focused around this idea of like craft and vehicles. However, this is sort of like this isn't entirely a craft. They call this a personal anti-gravity generator. It looks like something that you might hold, or it looks like something from freaking Dune. You know, that thing that you stick in the
Yeah,
sand and
it
it goes
does.
like the thumper,
Oh my God.
right? So,
Exactly.
like, what is going on here? What is this?
Is that
Like,
a real picture? Or is that a render?
yeah, right. A good question. You know, is it a real picture? Is it a render? I don't know. Yeah, I think we have to read the context of the document and sort of what's going on with this story. But
Okay.
this is either one of two things. It's either a really technical sort of fake story that somebody built and there had made a couple layers to it, or it is the best sort of lab leak documents of real alien technology that is being reverse engineered. And it's got some wild concepts. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. We are now going to get into the backstory of who leaked these documents and why. So this guy goes by the pseudonym Isaac, and I believe this first came out in 2006. And it was also associated with these images that were being posted online as an alleged like UAP or UFO event that came from like it says it came from multiple witnesses had sent these pictures in and said that these craft here in the sky basically like they just appeared for a little bit. Some people were like, "Yo, what's that?" They got some pictures and then it disappeared. Maybe there were some ideas flying around that the cloaking on that these ships were already there, but the cloaking stopped working and then it turned back on again. Now there's been some analysis on these images to figure out like is it
Yeah.
real, is it fake?
I remember when
Um,
these images dropped.
you remember this?
And yes, that's funny. I remember exactly when these images dropped, and they were all going all around the internet. And I honestly, I'm guilty of it. I read headlines, and I'm like, I read the first two comments, and I'm like, figured it out, like a fucking idiot. And I read one comment that's like clearly CGI, so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, whatever, and I just kept walking away. Like, I didn't do any research,
Sure.
but we all know that every hater and their mama is going to leave a comment like that. So should we really put our entire, worth on that? So
Yeah. And
it could
to
be
be
legit.
honest, these images are not the full story. They are connected to it. And so if those images are CGI, obviously it throws a little bit of a shadow on the rest of this story, the part that we're going to go over. But I think that even without those images, this explanation and this guy what he's saying is still relevant, is still very like right here in the mix because we're even with this whole New Jersey drones thing. You know, the guy who blew up the Cybertruck wrote a manifesto and said that there is gravitic propulsion devices that the U.S. and China has, and that this is like a long time sort of secret war going on in the background, and that's super dangerous that two adversaries have this technology and can sort of swoop in at any time with these anti-gravity orbs. And this document is talking about alleged ET anti-gravity technology and that we were reverse engineering it in the 80s from this specific lab. So this is sort of maybe like, and it's not as good as Bob Lazar in that the person didn't go on camera to tell the story, but they did go to significant personal risk, allegedly, to sneak these documents and not these photos, is actually be the photos of the device here. You can see from the thumbnail. And they say that there is an alien language that they were studying because it actually is a sort of like a code that can be run and can influence how the technology works. So yeah, this is super cool. When I read this document again, I don't care too much about whether these images are real. We're just gonna go through this story and see what happens. So, anything to
Yeah,
say, D-Bake?
I'm doing reverse Google image searches on all these images right now and finding a lot of Reddit posts on them, and everybody's claiming that these images can't be debunked, and it kind of just faded off into the nothingness. So
Oh, you don't think it was like 100% sure that it was CGI? A lot of people said no. It's
yeah, no, a lot of people are saying no, it's not,
okay.
and they can't debunk them. Yep, and they're all from the United States. Linda Moulton Howe has covered this, and she says it's legit, top secret back engineering program. Um, that this is an alien craft with with the cloak not working.
Mm.
Interesting.
Wild,
And
wild.
that if you analyze the photos around the outside, oh wow, they link the same website that the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
one, the Wayback Machine.
for
If you like
sure.
study around the outside of the actual images, you see kind of like a gravitational lensing. Um, Other people are saying it's CGI, CGI, CGI. You know how the comments go.
All
And
right,
now they're
well,
talking about the 650 nanometer laser. Yeah, okay. I don't have enough time to read them all, but
yeah, you're good. Like I said, let's just get into this story because it's interesting and it like reads coherently, unlike some of the more recent 4chan leaks, which are really interspersed, really out there, kind of like you don't even know who the poster is. But this guy
yeah,
made a website allegedly, and this is the website. This was like the main source of the story, and also these leaked documents. One specific technical document about the technology how they realize the technology works, were they able to replicate it, and yeah. So you ready to
it's kind
read
of crazy.
D-Bake?
Yeah, this is just wild. I mean, let's suspend belief for a little bit, people here. Okay, congressional hearing, Lou Elizondo, all these people talking about aliens. We all want to be skeptics, but we're here to have fun. We did a late night live stream for you guys. I'm drinking a beer. We're just having fun, guys. Okay, we're not here to be all serious. Like, oh, well, the third level of cosmodynamics says no. Okay, let's have some fun with it. Let's see. Let's suspend our disbelief and let's assume. And you would feel really stupid if these were real photos and you're over here saying they're fake, they're fake, and then you realize they're real. You'd be like, oh fuck. So let's have some fun with it. I remember when these photos came out, so let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's see. Personal anti-grav devices.
Yeah, dog.
Uh, that
Freaking
if they
put.
look like that, it looks scary, dog. I don't want no needles like that shit around me.
I'd say
Come on, man.
put this thing on a jetpack and make me fly. Sounds kind of dangerous, but
Mm. Yeah, but what if
look.
that jetpack requires it to be stabbed into your spinal cord and suck out your cerebral spinal fluid? Like,
Right.
you want that shit? Is that bad? What is it?
Uh,
Bad horror movie?
I would assume it's probably something. I mean, it reminds me of like, I don't know, Tesla coil or something. It's like the energy field that it creates is like it needs that like pointy thing to like channel the energy through or something. So,
So
um,
these are colloquially known as the dragonfly drones from CARET, all over Google.
oh, okay, because it
And there's actually
dragonfly.
other photos of different angles. When those photos came out, it spawned other photos to come out that aren't on this page that I'm looking at right now. They look exactly the same shit, but different angles.
I've never seen a UFO like this, looking like this.
No,
This is like
no.
very. This seems to be
It
very
reminds me of
specific to this
Hollywood.
case. Hollywood.
Yeah,
It
it's
reminds me
very
of the
Hollywood.
the thing in
You see this picture I just
uh
showed in the chat? So different angle, same ship.
yeah, for sure. Hmm.
Interesting. Uh, where am I on? Dare WordPress. On some crazy website right now.
Yeah. Well,
Oh
I'm ready.
wow,
I
wow,
say
that's
we
crazy.
we
If
read this thing.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Did you see? I guess these are like high res images. That's what kind of makes me think it could be CGI. But you see that thing in there? These guys are analyzing heavily right now on this website, and
Whoa,
they even
that's
like
like
zoomed in
way.
on the
I
yeah,
didn't see this photo, and that's the
yeah.
language
They
and stuff.
zoomed in. Yeah, right. Hmm.
Yeah, we definitely need to consolidate like all the top images for this.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. Yeah, that's weird. That's like somebody who's right under it.
Yeah, check this one out. These guys are going like on a deep dive, dude. They got like, let's put it in the chat right there.
Oh, all right. We'll zoom in on this and. All right. So they're doing like some image analysis maybe here. It
Uh-huh.
looks like
Yep.
crop zoom, rectangular notches.
Damn. Pretty high res. Fuck.
Yeah, so I don't think we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, look, I can't absolutely prove to you if those images are real or fake, but I can tell you
Nah.
that this story, get that spider tingle going. So,
Straight up. Straight up. Travis Scott voice. Let's do it.
yeah. All right, let's read this. Here we go. Here is the brief introduction. I'm using the alias Isaac and used to work in what is called the CARET program in the 80s. During my time there, I worked with a lot of technology that is clearly at work in the recent drone strange craft sightings, most notably the language and diagrams seen on the underside of each craft. What follows is a lengthy letter about who I am, what I know, and what these sightings are probably all about. The appearance of these photos has convinced me to release at least some of the numerous photographs and photocopied documents I still possess some 20 years later that can explain a great deal about these sightings. On the site, you will find some of these. They are available as high resolution scans, and I am giving away for free, provided they are not modified in any way and are kept together along with this written material. I'm also trying to get in touch with the witnesses. Basically, witnesses came forward with those who actually posted those photos, and I think the story those photos were broken on Coast to Coast AM, who kind of made the. I think people submitted those photos coast to coast, and that's how it kind of got a little bit of traction. So,
Yeah.
my
Somehow we're on Coast to
experience.
Coast Radio, that website. I don't know how, but whatever.
Yeah, we get some traffic from coast to coast, or
Yeah.
from coast to coast to our podcast or something. So yeah, my experience with the CARET program and ET technology. So he wrote this in 2007, and the program was the 1986, I think. So this letter is a part of a package I've assembled for Coast to Coast AM to distribute to its audience. It is a companion to numerous document and photo scans and should not be separated from them. You can call me Isaac, an alias I've chosen as a simple measure of protection while I release what would be called tremendously sensitive information, even by today's standards. Sensitive is not necessarily synonymous with dangerous, though, which is why my conscience is clear as I offer this material up for the public. My government has its reasons for the continual secrecy, and I sympathize with many of them. But the truth is that I'm getting old and not interested in meeting my maker one day with any more baggage than necessary. Furthermore, I
Ooh.
put a little more faith in humanity than my former bosses do, and I think that a release of at least some of this info could help a lot more than it could hurt, especially in today's world. Whew. So, dude, right there, authenticity level 100.
Yeah.
David Grush had the same sentiment of like, when he found the truth out, he's like, I can't continue to work in my job when I know like this is true and it's being hidden from the public. There's disinformation campaign. Congress is asking to know if it's true. They're hiding it from them. He's like, that's like made him like flip the switch, be like, all right, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna push the ball forward. I'm gonna make a list of the firsthand witnesses, bring them to the inspector general, all that stuff. Like when I read this first sentence, it's like all those old guys. It's like all the guys on their deathbeds that tell their UFO story in the military. They're like, Philip Corso. He wrote his book when he was like 80 years old, like the day after Roswell, I think. He was like old, and at that point, you're like, yeah, let's just tell the story. Let's just get it out there, you know, so you can just live in peace with the idea, knowing that something this profound, you've at least done your part to let the world know. Yeah. So this is the legacy program. Secret, secret, secret. Okay. D-Bake, are you frozen? I think he's frozen. So I'll have to join back in. Okay, continue. I should be clear before I begin, as a final note, I am not interested in making myself vulnerable to the consequences of betraying the trust of my superiors, and I will not divulge any personal information that could determine my identity. However, my intent is not to deceive, so information that I think is too risky to share will be simply left out rather than obfuscated in some way aside from my alias, which I freely admit is not my real name. I would estimate that with the information contained in this letter, I could be narrowed down to maybe 30 to 50 people at best, so I feel reasonably secure. Let's see, explanation of the recent sightings. That's the photos that were at the top of this page. So for many years, I occasionally considered the release of at least some part of the material I possess, but the recent wave of photos and sightings has prompted me to cut to the chase and do so now. I should be clear, I'm not directly familiar with any of the crafts seen in the photos in their entirety. I've never seen them in a hangar or worked on them myself or seen aliens zipping in them. However, I've worked with and seen many of the parts visible in these crafts, some of which can be seen in the inventory review scan on this page. More importantly, though, I'm familiar with the language on their underside seen clearly in photos by Chad and Rajman, in another form in the Big Basin photos. One question I can answer for sure is why they're suddenly here. These crafts have probably existed in their current form for decades, and I can say for sure that the technology behind them has existed for decades before that. The language, in fact, I'll explain shortly why I keep putting that in quotes, was the subject of my work in years past. I'll cover that as well. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, dude, CIA, man. Had to call Trump again.
Nice. So we're on the one, two, three, the fourth paragraph in the some explanation of the recent sightings.
Good
So, yeah.
Act
So
like I never left.
the reason they're suddenly visible, however, is another matter entirely. These crafts, assuming they're anything like the hardware I worked with in the 80s, assuming they're better in fact, are equipped with technology that enables invisibility. That ability can be controlled both on board the craft and remotely. However, what's important in this case is that this invisibility can also be disrupted by other technology. Think of it like radar jamming. I would bet my life savings, since I know this has happened before, that these craft are becoming visible and then returning to invisibility arbitrarily, probably unintentionally and undoubtedly for only short periods, due to the activity of a kind of disrupting technology being set off elsewhere but nearby. I'm especially sure of this in the case of the Big Basin sightings, where the witnesses themselves reported seeing the craft just appear and disappear. This is especially likely because of the way the witnesses describes one of the appearances being only a momentary flicker, which is consistent with the unintentional, intermittent triggering of such a device. It's no surprise that these sightings are all taking place in California, especially the Saratoga South Bay area. Not far from Saratoga is Mountain View Sunnyvale, home to Moffett Field and NASA Ames Research Center. Again, I'd be willing to bet just about anything that the device capable of hijacking the cloaking of these nearby craft was inadvertently triggered, probably during some kind of experiment at the exact moment they were being seen. Miles away in the Big Basin, the witnesses were in the right place at the right time and saw the results of this disruption with their own eyes. God knows
Damn.
what else. God knows what else was suddenly appearing in the skies at that moment, and who else may have seen it. I've had some direct contact with this device, or at least a device capable of the same thing, and this kind of mistake is not unprecedented. I am personally aware of at least one other incident in which this kind of technology was accidentally set off, resulting in the sudden visibility of normally invisible things. The only difference is that these days cameras are a lot more common. The technology itself isn't ours, or at least wasn't in the 80s. Much like the technology in these crafts themselves, the device capable of remotely hijacking a vehicle's cloaking comes from a non-human source too. Oh, so we're setting off the
That's what I was
humans are doing
assuming.
this. Yeah.
That was my question. I was about to ask. So, what experiment did we do during that time that stripped the cloaking off those devices, off
Yeah.
those
We
UAPs?
were working with other NHI technology, and we figured out that we can reveal cloaked UFOs in the sky. So
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure the
Taking
military
DMT and
loved
fucking.
that. So that's wild. We're connecting all these reverse engineering things in one epic uh, moment here. So
Do I sound a little bit less hot to you right now?
um
No,
No,
same thing.
actually
Okay.
sounds pretty similar. Maybe even did you just turn it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I actually just whatever. I don't want to bore the listeners with anything, but I actually opened my OBS and it has that vocal. I don't know if that does anything, but last episode I had my OBS open the entire time, and I noticed you're right. It did sound a little bit hot, and I just reopened my OBS. I don't know if it runs vocal compression when it's like latent like that, but
Well, you would have to I'm getting your audio through Discord directly, not your OBS chain, so it's not going to make a difference for our stream.
interesting. All right, whatever.
Yeah, you would
Hypothesizing. All right,
yeah,
back to
yeah.
the bullshit.
Yeah. So we were given the decloaking technology by a non-human source. Why we were given this technology has never been very clear to me, but it's responsible for a lot. Our having access to this kind of device, along with our occasionally haphazard experimentation on them, has led to everything from cloaking malfunctions like this to full blown crashes. I can assure you that most, and in my opinion, all incidents of UFO crashes or that kind of thing had more to do with our meddling with extremely powerful technology at an inopportune time than it did mechanical failure on their part. Trust me, these things don't fail unless something even more powerful than them makes them fail, intentionally or not. Think of it like a stray bullet. You can be hit by one at any time without warning, and even the shooter didn't intend to hit you. I can assure you heads are rolling over this as well. If anyone notices a brilliant but sloppy physicist patrolling the streets of Baghdad in the next couple weeks, I'd be willing to guess how he got there. I kid, of course, but I certainly hope that hasn't actually happened in this case. I'd like to explain how it is I know this. Okay.
Interesting. I like the background story.
Yeah, and
Sounding
what do you think? The way that it reads feels authentic.
feels real, dude.
It's
Yeah.
like if he's adding like extra, it's like the way that you talk to somebody like that, you can see their personality in it in the writing style. So it's like, imagine if you were trying to fake this, what you would have is like, okay, here's the basis of the story that I want to write about this reverse engineering program. And then if you have to then like add a personality into it as if they're telling the story from their lens. And that's a big storytelling thing. I mean, script writers, I guess, do that type of thing, but what this feels is like a long email from your really smart uncle who also happens to be
Yeah.
reverse engineering UFO stuff, and he like sent you this or something, for your birthday.
Yeah,
Um,
it doesn't seem contrived because when things are
mhm.
contrived, you can tell that the person's trying to like make it sound real. This sounds like someone who's been thinking about this for a while that's real, and then you start like, something's real, then you start like speculating on your own. You'd be like, well, why'd she do that? What the hell? That doesn't make any sense. That was stupid. And then you tell that to your friend as a reason why it was stupid. It seems like this was all genuine thought forms that came from the person from thinking about it for a while. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like the only difference these days are that cameras are a lot more common. Like it's like a person talking like just candidly about why it would
Yeah.
actually happen.
And notice that whole
Uh,
camera's more common. That even in today's hearings, they say the same thing. They're like, well, if this has happened since the 40s, but now everyone has cell phones. Now this, they always mention that there's more cameras than ever, and we're getting more info. So, um, yeah, Otto in the chat. What's up? What's up? I'm gonna grab a link for you and put this in the chat. So that is the archive link of the original story. And then yeah. So we'll keep reading
what's up,
here.
Otto? Appreciate the question. You want to read or want me to pick it up for a bit?
Go ahead. You got it. The CARET program.
Cool. The CARET program. Let me make it a little bit bigger for myself. My story begins the same as it did for many of my coworkers, with graduate and postgraduate work at university in electrical engineering. And I had always been interested in computer science, which was a very new field at the time. And my interest peaked with my first exposure to a TICSO during grad school. In the years following school, I took a scenic route through the tech industry and worked for the kinds of companies you would expect. until I was offered a job at the Department of Defense, and things took a very different turn. My time at the DoD was mostly uneventful, but I was there for quite a while. I apparently proved myself to be reasonably intelligent and loyal. By 1984, these qualities, along with my technical background, made me a likely candidate for a new program they were recruiting for called CARET. Before I explain what CARET was, I should back up a little. By 1984, Silicon Valley had been a juggernaut of technology for decades. In the less than 40 years since the appearance of Shockley's transistor, this part of the world had already produced a multi-billion-dollar computer industry and made technological strides that were unprecedented in other fields. From hypertext and online collaboration in '68 to the Alto in '73. That's old school shit. I don't know what the fuck this is. Hypertext? Do you mean like hyperlinks?
I think
Do you mean
hypertext
links?
HTML, like to build web
HTML,
pages.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's
wow. Yeah,
hypertext
yeah, right.
markup
You're right. To
language.
online collaboration. Okay, yeah. You're right. You're right. Damn.
This
Private,
website
it's
is
crazy
like
to think about.
a simple HTML website.
Yeah, and to think about that, these are the people who would be involved in it since way before. You know, like if it was classified, we wouldn't have known about these Silicon Valley actors for until 60 years after they've already been working. So it's kind of interesting. It gives you a peer back into the deep state pre-internet, and none of us were really aware of that shit. Private industry in Silicon Valley was responsible for some of the most incredible technological leaps in history, and this fact did not go unnoticed by the US government and military. I don't claim to have any special knowledge about Roswell or any of the other alleged early UFO events, but I do know that whatever the exact origin, the military was hard at work trying to understand and use the extraterrestrial artifacts it had in its possession. While there had been a great deal of progress overall, things were not moving as quickly as some would have liked. So, in 1984, the CARET program was created with the aim of harnessing the abilities of private industry in Silicon Valley and applying it to the ongoing task of understanding extraterrestrial technology. Dang, that just
Ooh,
made a connection in my
yeah.
mind. Like, follow the money. Obviously, these guys are making so much money off technology, billions and billions of dollars. That's where you'd hide the secret programs for all this stuff. They have like unlimited money. It's like a black
Well,
budget
what
off the
it
government budget.
sounds like, well, it sounds like the government had their own program running and it was just internal. It did not include, they didn't include private industry, but they weren't making, he says they were not moving as quickly as they would have liked. So they created the CARET program to use Silicon Valley's expertise and some of their own
To
assets
analyze
that
this
have
shit.
DoD experience, I guess. So this is exactly what is being talked about in the current hearings about technology being within these contractors, within Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works,
Yeah,
Lockheed. Oh, I just said Lockheed. Boeing, whatever the other
the other
companies are.
Lockheed.
I don't follow the other Lockheed. Shout out to Lockheed. We love only
Yeah,
Lockheed.
don't kill us.
Um,
Yeah, we want to stay alive.
sponsor us, and we will never mention another aerospace company.
Yeah, dude, let's do a fucking podcast from like a F-117 cockpit,
Ooh,
dude. That'd be fucking
that'd be fire.
badass.
No, it's got to be anti-gravity. It's anti-gravity or nothing.
Or bust or nothing. Yeah, that's right. We don't accept your checks unless you. All right, keep going.
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
Well, you're
Brought
reading.
to
You
you
keep
by
going.
Lockheed Martin. Oh, my turn. Brought to you by Boeing. No, we're not paid by any of them. Or are we? Dun, dun, dun. All right. One of the best examples of the power of the tech sector was Xerox PARC, a research center in Palo Alto, California. X Park was responsible for some of the major milestones in the history of computing. While I never had the privilege of working there myself, I did know many of the people who did, and I can say that they were among the brightest engineers I ever knew. X Park some X Park served as one of the models for the CARET program's first incarnation, a facility called the Palo Alto CARET Laboratory, or PAC-L, lovingly pronounced PACL during my time there. See, that kind of shit just sounds exactly like real, like how military people would the acronyms and they shorten it down. Like it's interesting. It lends a little bit of credence. I know there are script writers out there. I know Hollywood and Master Lord of the Rings. invented their own languages and did all this shit. I know this could all be imaginary, but let's lend some credence right there. So yeah, this was where I worked, along with numerous other civilians, under the auspices of military brass who were eager to find out how the tech sector made so much progress so quickly. My time at the DoD, yeah, right, fucking aliens. Where's Giorgio? Get Giorgio Supalist.
Those generals are like, hell, these tech nerds making iPhones. It was an iPhone at the time, but you know how they're thinking like,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, imagine putting a military general to lead your tech company, and he has like
Oh my God.
no
He would
startup
suck.
experience. Like
Yeah.
that's what they've
Fuck
been
that
trying to
guy.
do to reverse engineer these UFOs.
Yeah. All these like young computer engineers be like, yo, who invited the fucking old head? Fuck this
Like,
fool.
who's the
Like,
CEO?
hide
Like,
everything
why
you
are
can
we
from him.
running it like this?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't talk to him. Don't keep this a secret. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
why all these lower engineers within these programs like are so unsatisfied and willing to like bring this forward if they can get past the NDA and they don't feel like they're in danger, they'll be like, yeah, I worked on the UFO program and it sucked 10 years and we barely knew what we were working on. We all knew it was non-human and connected to the thing, but they wouldn't let us talk to the other teams. You know, it was
Right.
boring AF. You know, we didn't get to see any bodies.
Yeah, these assholes with the brass and camo just fucked everything up. We could have made leaps and bounds, but they were just so fucking standardized and organized. Yep, shout out to the DoD. Shout out to bureaucracy and compartmentalization.
Yeah. You think this guy went through Dopser? Nah.
This
That's
guy,
that's why he
fuck no.
chose
He
a
said,
pseudonym.
Lobster can suck my nuts. That's what he said.
He's like, you guys get the PDF.
I think Bob Lazar went through Dopser. Fuck no. All right. My time at the DoD was a major factor behind why I was chosen. And in fact, about 30 plus others who were hired and around the same time had also been at the department about as long. But this was not the case for everyone. A couple of my coworkers were plucked right from places like IBM, and at least 2 of them came from X-Park itself. My DoD experience did make me more eligible for positions of management, however, which is how I have so much of this material in my possession to begin with. Okay, it was worded weird. So in other words, civilians like myself who had at most some decent experience working for the DoD, but no actual military training or involvement, were suddenly finding ourselves in the same room as highly classified extraterrestrial technology. Dang. So the DoD and the Pentagon was making a risk.
Yeah.
Their brass was so fucking militarized and dumb they couldn't get it, and they had to figure out we need smarter people. We need to go to the public sector.
They did the same thing to try with Bob Lazar, as in he was like a bit of an
Yep.
outsider, unconventional scientist, but like obviously smart and pretty brilliant. And they brought him in to see if he can make any breakthroughs.
Yeah, it checks the fuck out. These old stingy heads who only know war and combat, they're like, we can't conceive of anything. We need outside input. Obviously, yeah, they're not creative. That's hilarious. This makes sense. Then all of a sudden, civilian people have access to this information, and they don't feel as beholden to the military oaths and whistleblowing shit. They're like, fuck these fools. I came from the private sector. They recruited me. Like, I didn't even know what I was talking about, so fuck these fools. Yeah. That's kind of cool. They're more likely to come forward, I guess you would say.
Although
if they're not
this guy
indoctrinated.
who did end up coming forward, he did have DoD experience, but I think he was saying he's not like military training particularly,
Not
but he
military,
had worked
just
with
like
DoD. Yeah.
DoD. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't join, didn't enlist. So they're probably a lot more likely to fucking speak. Of course, they spent about 2 months briefing us all before we saw or did anything, and did their best to convince us that if we ever leaked a single detail about what we were being told, they'd do everything short of digging up our ancestors and putting a few slugs in them too, just for good measure. Jesus Christ.
Yo, that's exactly what David Grush has said though, and Jake Barber. They're like, have people been killed over this? And they're like, that's what I understand.
Damn, that's a crazy picture to paint in your mind. We'll dig up your ancestors and put a couple slugs in them just to
It's
be
funny.
sure.
I think that's his humor, his personal humor, like shining through, because like he's obviously, I'm picturing like him being in these, like for 2 months, they're being like sort of briefed, and like on and on again, they keep pointing out like, I swear to God, if you tell anyone it's a bullet in your head, we're gonna and all your ancestors.
Yeah, That's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. That's his personality shining through. Yeah, for sure. Um, Good for him. Good for him. And a little bit of gallows humor too, which I'm sure you pick up by working in the Pentagon. You know, military. They love gallows humor. I'd worked under some pretty hefty NDAs in my time, but this was so far out of my depth, I didn't think I was going to last 2 weeks in an environment like that. But amazingly, things got off to a good start. They wanted us, plain and simple, and our industry had shown itself to be so good at what it did that they were just about ready to give us carte blanche. Oh shit, here we go. Key to the city. Of course, nothing with the military is ever that simple. And as is often the case, they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. What I mean by this is that despite their interest in picking our brains and learning whatever they could from our way of doing things, they still wanted to do it their way, often enough to frustrate us.
That's hilarious.
Exactly,
It
dude.
sounds exactly like I imagine like what it would be like
Yeah.
if the military, because the military guys are sort of micromanaging like the actual tech entrepreneurs, and like the tech entrepreneurs are like they're like in that flow state, and suddenly the military guys are like trying to like do their thing, or like yeah, I don't know what it's like, but I get the mental picture. It's being beamed to me.
In the fourth dimension. Um, I talk. Oh, I mean, to take a little rabbit hole, I talk about that all the time. Like when we were figuring out the title to this video, like the universe will gift you things as long as you show effort and the desire to want to reveal it. You know, like a lot of scientists say that. Like it just how'd you figure that out? Einstein said it. It just appeared to me one day. And they say it's like the muse. All I had to do was put effort for like a couple weeks, a couple months, and just keep grinding at it and say, I want to know the answer. I want to know the answer. Then finally, the universe will gift it to you, almost as if it'll only gift it to you as if you keep creating and cultivating the desire. So I forget exactly what I was trying to connect that to because I got tied into that. But
Hmm.
that's what happened. I think I said that because you said something. I'll listen to it
Yeah,
after we post it. I'll
it's
be like,
okay.
"Oh, fuck you, idiot!" Yeah, the viewers made the connection. But yeah, I guess let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. At this point, I'm going to gloss over the emotional side of this experience because this letter isn't intended to be a memoir. But I will say that there's almost no way to describe the impact of this kind of revelation has on your mind. There are very few moments in life in which your entire worldview is turned forever upside down, but this was one of them. Amen, brother.
Dude.
I seek out those moments. um, I'm addicted. I'm looking for them. I still remember that turning point during the briefing when I realized when I realized what he just told us, and that I hadn't heard him wrong, and that it wasn't some kind of joke. In retrospect, the whole thing felt like it was in slow motion. From that slight pause he took just before the term extraterrestrial came out for the first time, to the way the room itself seemed to go off kilter as we collectively tried to grasp what was being said. My reflex kept jumping back and forth between trying to look at the speaker, to understand him better, and look at everyone else around me, to make sure I wasn't the only one that was hearing this. At the risk of sounding melodramatic, it's a lot like a child learning his parents are divorcing. I never experienced that myself, but a very close friend of mine did when we were boys, and he confided in me a great deal about what the experience felt like. A lot of what he said would aptly describe what I was feeling in that room. Here was a trusted authority figure telling you something that you just don't feel ready for, and putting a burden on your mind that you don't necessarily want to carry. The moment that first word comes out, all you can think about is what it is like only seconds ago. What it was like only seconds ago. And knowing that life is never going to be as simple as it was then. After all that time at the DoD, I thought I at least had some idea of what was going on in the world, but I'd never heard so much as a peep about this. Maybe one day I'll write more on this aspect because it is the kind of thing I really would like to get off my chest. But for now, I'll digress.
Damn. That is the
I don't know,
most like
man.
hard hitting authenticity.
Sounding real.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
that paragraph is
Jeez.
fire.
Yeah, that's legit. That's legit. I mean, as emotional human beings, come on. We were just talking about in the last podcast. Stop using your logic and use your fucking intuition and feeling. Read between the lines, behind the words. That shit sounds real. You can feel the energy. Um, Again, we know there's writers out there. There's great writers out there. We know that. So obviously, we're not just being naive and drinking the Kool-Aid, but we're having fun with it. We're suspending some disbelief, baby. Um, you guys do it every time you watch a movie, okay?
Yeah.
Every time you watch a show, you suspend disbelief. So stop being a pussy and suspend some disbelief right now when we're talking about the real shit, okay? Like you can do it. You do it every time you open your phone. So fucking come on. Don't be a skeptic when you're watching the real shit. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's dive deep.
just
Suspend the disbelief. Then
enjoy the
after that,
ride. Enjoy the ride. Because look,
exactly.
part of the reason I was so profounded by the UFO field was that this is something that seems like fiction but claims to be real. Like it's
Yeah.
at like, and I grew up on reading a lot of fiction books because I like that other like it's an exciting world that is like way
Fuck
cool.
yeah, dude. Who
It's cooler
doesn't?
than the world we're in. And then later I
Fuck
found
yeah.
out, and it was revealed through a bunch of books and personal experiences that, oh my God, there's actually aliens among us. They're visiting this planet,
I'm fucking
UFOs,
in it.
anti-gravity technology, other
Yeah.
civilizations. That was a revelation that unfolded for me, over multiple years. But like, I feel what he's saying. He's just pointing out there was a first term in these briefings that they used the term extraterrestrial, and for him, it was the first time in his life that he had ever been told by someone of authority that like this is real. This is happening.
Yeah, I could feel the energy coming off that paragraph. That must have been an insane energy in the room. Like the air got sucked out, and everybody's like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
Am I in a movie right now?" Fuck.
Dude, I feel like a lot
That's
of a lot of people in Congress are probably feeling like this since the whole last like year or two of these revelations.
oh yeah, Nancy Mace, and she's fucking riding that wave. She's like, "Yep, I like what I heard. It was shocking, but we need to figure it out." That's what's up.
Yeah.
So, if you have felt that wave, we resonate with you. If you're feeling it right now while reading this or listening to this podcast and reading this transcript with us, we resonate with you. You're our brother. You're our sister. So keep it locked, baby. We about to go on that cosmic road trip. Keep it going. Unlike traditional research in this area, we weren't working on new toys for the Air Force. For numerous reasons, the CARET program, or the CARET people, decided to aim its efforts at commercial applications rather than military ones. Amen. They basically wanted us to turn these artifacts into something they could patent and sell. Okay. Well, one of one of CARET's most appealing promises was the revenue generated by these product-ready technologies, which could be funneled right back into black pod projects.
Ah,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
they're
Wow.
like
So their own need to
we
get
need more
money
money to
might
reverse
reveal
engineer the UFOs. Let's make a
to
let's
reveal
make
the
a let's
low
make a
end
personal
classified.
anti-gravity device that we can sell in the consumer market.
Damn. Now, dude, that angle just fucked my head now. Now everything I think that they're releasing now is the bottom of the barrel tech to get
Oh,
cash money so that they
cash
can
money.
funnel it back into deeper secret tech that they
Bro,
don't want to tell us about.
I think that's kind of Greer's
God
take.
damn
He's
it.
like, they're building a threat narrative so they can get more money to militarize.
Oh my God.
This was like another angle.
Fuck.
It's like, why don't we get Silicon Valley, get those tech nerds to figure this out? We'll let them sell a little bit of it, and the
Yeah.
profits will come.
Profit.
We'll bring back the profits into the programs to make better weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Because we need a ship to get to the Pleiades with weapons.
We got to take over the Pleiades.
Yeah.
Those Pleiadian
fuckers.
hotties aren't gonna know what hit them.
Yeah. With their chimpanzee little dicks. We need to get them. Sorry. If you don't get that joke, you're fucking up. You need to go watch our last live stream. All right. Carrying on. Sorry if you tuned out from that. Whatever. You're not here anyway. So, where to say?
You ended with the funnel into black projects.
Okay. Working with the commercial application in mind was also yet another way to keep us in a familiar mind state. Developing technology for the military is very different than doing so for the commercial sector. And not having to worry about the difference was another way that CARET was very much like private industry. So this is like a government program trying to get into the private sector via alien tech. This is crazy.
Yeah. But I mean,
Um,
Corso said that he was responsible for distributing individual parts and technologies from
yeah,
Roswell into the private sectors, and then those companies were allowed to sort of like patent and sell as long as they should have shared some of that information flow with the military.
Velcro. CARET shined in the way it let us work the way we were used to working. They wanted to recreate as much of the environment we were used to as they could without compromising issues like security. That meant we got free reign to set up our own workflow, internal management structure, style manuals, documentation, and the like. That's pretty fucking sick. They wanted this to look and feel like private industry, not the military. They knew that was how to get the best work out of us, and they were right. That's scary to even think about, that the government's that good, where they can just like, hey guys, hey scientists, here's unlimited money, no oversight, no oversight. Do it how you want, your own workflow. It's really enticing, you know. Be like, fuck it, let's do it. And
I
then before
mean,
you
that
know it, you sneeze the wrong way, your family's getting shot.
isn't this what the populace is arguing for needs to happen? It should be going to private to the industry so that we can get actual consumer products to improve society. This is what we should like. If this came through, you know what I think? I think they did learn how to make applications from it, and as soon as they learned a certain amount, the military pulled the plug. They're like, "Sorry
They
guys,
pulled them.
you can't sell it on the market. We're gonna use
It
it."
was never for
It
that.
was
That was
never for
only
that.
like the profit motive was
You
used as a
know.
lure, a carrot, a carrot. Oh, it's called carrot. um, but things didn't go as smoothly when it came to matters like access to classified information. They were exposing what is probably their single biggest secret to a group of people who had never been through basic training, and it was obvious that the gravity of this decision was never far from their minds. We started the program with a small set of extraterrestrial artifacts, along with fairly elaborate briefings on each, as well as access to a modest amount of what research had already been completed. It wasn't long before we realized we needed more, though, and getting them to provide even the smallest amount of new material was like pulling teeth. CARET stood for Commercial Applications Research for Extraterrestrial Technology, but we often joke that it should have stood for Civilians Are Rarely Ever Trusted.
Nice.
Real talk.
Zinger.
Yeah,
I
he's
like this
good.
guy.
And and see, that's like something that would happen amongst the people that were working there over time, you know, like that kind of shit. Um,
Right. It's like a funny running joke
Packle,
between them.
exactly, inside joke, yeah. Packle was located in Palo Alto, but unlike X Park, it wasn't at the end of a long road in the middle of a big complex surrounded by rolling hills and trees. Packle was hidden in an office complex owned entirely by the military, but made to look like an unassuming tech company. Oh, that's scary.
Kind of like Jake
From the street,
Barber's cover with being a contractor.
the contractor. Yep, 100%. Good connection. From the street, all you could see was what appeared to be a normal parking lot with a gate and a guard booth, and a one-story building inside with a fictitious name and logo. What wasn't visible from the street was that behind the very first set of doors was enough armed guards to invade Poland and 5 additional underground stories. They wanted to be as close as possible to the kinds of people they were looking to hire and be able to bring them in with a minimum of fuss. Inside, we had everything we needed: state of the art hardware and a staff of over 200 computer scientists, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, physicists, and mathematicians. Most of us were civilians, as I've said, but some were military, and a few of them had been working on this technology already. Of course, you were never far from the barrel of a machine gun, even inside the labs themselves, something many of us never got used to. And bi-weekly tours were made by military brass to ensure that not a single detail was out of line. Most of us underwent extensive searches on our way into and out of the building. There it was, probably the biggest secret in the world, in a bunch of parts spread out on a laboratory tables in the middle of Palo Alto, so you could imagine their concern. Kind of gnarly. Do you feel a little bathroom break coming up on me right now? So if you want to give some
Yeah.
thoughts to the people.
I might just continue reading. Yeah. So, drop any comments in the chat. You know, we got 8 people right now on the live. The link to this is in the chat. So definitely, read through this on your own time and see what kind of vibe you're getting. So I'm going to continue reading. One downside to CARET was that it wasn't as well connected as other ops undoubtedly were. I never got to see any actual extraterrestrials, not even photos, and in fact, never even saw one of their complete vehicles. 99% of what I saw was related to the work at hand, all of which was conducted within a very narrow context on individual artifacts only. The remaining 1% came from people I met through the program, many of which working more closely with the good stuff or had in the past. Yeah, right. Otto says, I want my commercial anti-gravity machine and flying cars. Yeah, bro. Well, you know how they done it. They pulled the plug and they pulled it back into the black projects. Ain't gonna let this get out. In fact, what was especially amusing about the whole affair was the way that our military management almost tried to act as if the technology we were essentially reverse engineering wasn't extraterrestrial at all. Aside from the word extraterrestrial itself, we rarely heard any other terms like alien or UFO or outer space or anything. Those aspects were only mentioned briefly when absolutely necessary to explain something. In many cases, it was necessary to differentiate between the different races and their respective technology, and they didn't even use the word races. They were referred to simply as different sources. Yeah, different sources. This is kind of like how the lawmakers have decided to use the term non-human intelligence to make sure that the sort of that people don't try and slime and sneak past their requests, which are being written into law to disclose. If you use the term extraterrestrial, it means something too specific. And so these programs might be like, oh, we don't have any extraterrestrial technology because the source is not actually extraterrestrial or something, right? There's like different excuses that you can come up with based on these terminologies. And every word being used is very specific. So I find that, classic. The technology. A lot of the technology we worked on was what you would expect, namely anti-gravity. Most of the researchers on the staff with backgrounds in propulsion and rocketry were military men. But the technology we were dealing with was so out of this world, it didn't really matter at all much what your background was because none of it applied. All we could hope to do was use the vocabulary of our respective fields as a way to model the extremely bizarre new concepts we were very slowly beginning to understand as best we could. A rocket engineer doesn't usually rub elbows much with a computer scientist, but inside Pac L, we were all equally mystified and were ready to entertain any and all ideas. The physicists made the most headway initially because out of all our skills, theirs overlapped the most with the concepts behind this technology, although that isn't saying much. Once they got the ball rolling, though, we began to find that many of the concepts found in computer science were applicable as well, albeit in very vague ways. While I didn't do a lot of work with the anti-grav hardware myself, I was occasionally involved in the assessment of how that technology was meant to interface with its user. The anti-grav was amazing, of course, as were the advances we were making in materials engineering and so on. But what interested me most then, and still amazes me most to this day, was something completely unrelated. In fact, it was this technology that almost immediately jumped out at me when I saw the Chad and Rajman photos, and even more so in the Big Basin photos. That's the craft that showed up by at the top of the page. I'll just go there again. Here's the images. These allegedly sort of appeared in the sky because the cloaking sort of went dark. Actually, because the military or someone was testing some other non-human technology that was able to disable the cloaking on those ships. So,
CERN. I don't know.
nah, CERN's in like the Netherlands or something. It's Europe. I don't know.
Hey, you don't know how strong it is, baby.
It's that scalar technology. Scalar.
Ooh, dude, I've been reading about that since I was like 13, man.
I don't even know what it is. It moves faster than light. Is that true?
It's supposedly, I guess if you want to think about it, it's man-made lightning, but it's way stronger than lightning, and they can pick any point in time and space and just fire like a super strong lightning bolt to that point in time and space.
Okay, so it's a high energy weapon
Yeah,
that's like kind of like a lightning or
directed energy
electricity
weapon.
directed energy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they can like lock onto anything and just.
Yeah. Space laser.
Mm-hmm.
The language. I put the word language in quotes because calling what I'm about to describe a language is a misnomer, although it's an easy mistake to make. Their hardware wasn't operated in quite the same way as ours. In our technology, even today, we have a combination of hardware and software running almost everything on the planet. Software is more abstract than hardware, but ultimately it needs hardware to run it. In other words, there's no way to write a computer program on a piece of paper, set that piece of paper on a table or something, and expect it to actually do something. The most powerful code in the world still doesn't actually do anything until a piece of hardware interprets it and translates its command into actions. But their technology is different. It really did operate like the magical piece of paper sitting on a table, in a manner of speaking. They had something akin to a language that could quite literally execute itself, at least in the presence of a very specific type of field. The language, a term I'm still using very loosely, is a system of symbols, um, which does admittedly very much resemble a written language, along with geometric forms and patterns that fit together to form diagrams that are themselves functional.
Damn.
Once they are drawn, so to speak, on a suitable surface, made of a suitable material, and in the presence of a certain type of field, they immediately begin performing the desired task. It really did seem like magic to us, even after we began to understand the principles behind it.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's like sacred geometric source code. Damn. Adhering to the principles of the underlying primordial reality, maybe even paradise, or like before the language before the material universe
Hmm.
existed, pre-qualified in space and time already.
Yeah, this is, there's we I think we talked a little bit at the beginning about theories on, how this might work. Although I do want to say it sounds like what they're discovering is at least like how to predict the effects of using the language and like what are the necessities to like make it all work. They do need to be on a suitable surface with a certain material and then in the presence of a certain type of field, some type of electromagnetism I would expect, you know and then
Yeah.
these machines start like actually performing tasks and doing stuff. And so I imagine because they had these parts, they were able to activate some of them and watch and see what they would do with the current language that was written on it, and then maybe start to like do smaller versions of it and see like how it works. um, but at the end of the day, I feel like they did not answer the question of why the symbols like worked in the first place, because that might go into
Okay.
like a more of a cosmic understanding. I don't know. So 'cause I think he doesn't really ever explain why they thought that the symbols actually worked, but they at least were able to recreate and build things with them. So I worked with these symbols more than anything during my time at Packle and recognized them the moment I saw them in the photos. They appear in a very simple form on Chad's craft, but appear in a more complex diagram form on the underside of the big basin craft as well. Both are unmistakable, even at the small size of the big basin photos. An
Okay, I
example
think
of
those are the photos I was putting in the chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the one right from underneath, I think as
Yeah.
well. I'll just open that up again. So this photo is like from right underneath one of these craft, and you can see these symbols written on it. Um, Fascinating. Uh, an example of the diagram is in the style of the big basin craft is included with this in a series of scanned page from the mistitled Linguistic Analysis Primer. We needed a copy of that diagram to be utterly precise, and it took about a month for a team of 6 to copy that diagram into our drafting program. Dang.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Explaining everything I learned about this technology would fill up several volumes. Okay. But I will do my best to explain at least some of the concepts as long as I am taking the time to write all this down. First of all, you wouldn't open up their hardware to find a CPU here and a data bus there and some kind of memory over there. Their hardware appeared to be perfectly solid and consistent in terms of material from one side to the other, like a rock or a hunk of metal. But upon much closer inspection, we began to learn it was actually one big holographic computational substrate. Each computational element, essentially individual particles, can function independently, but are designed to function together in tremendously large clusters. I say it's holographic because you can divide it up into the smallest chunks you want and still find a scaled down but complete representation of the whole system. They produce a nonlinear computational output when grouped, so 4 elements working together is actually more than 4 times more powerful than one. Most of the internal matter in their crafts, usually everything but the outermost housing, is actually this substrate and can contribute to computation at any time in any state. The shape of these chunks of substrate also had a profound effect on its functionality and often served as a shortcut to achieve a goal that might otherwise be more complex.
Okay.
Right?
So, so are they saying like even the atoms and the particles that the ship is made of, except for the hull, is a computer system itself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like when he's talking about holographic. I don't know too much about this, but I know that like holograms or holographic, we can do this in a lab where we take like a hologram of an object, or we make a hologram of an object, and like with it you can like scale it to any size or something.
Like Mandelbrot sets?
Well, that I feel like that kind of connects. I feel like I should maybe look this up. Um, so let's see
Yeah,
what
supposedly the
ChatGPT
definition of a
says.
hologram is no matter what, if you slice up the hologram in the smallest amount, you can still find the code for the rest of the hologram programmed into that little bit. Um, and that's like Mandelbrot sets and fractals, I guess you would say.
Okay, so they call this holography, um, where each part of the hologram contains the entire image of the object it represents,
Yeah,
albeit at a lower resolution. This
yeah, with
phenomenon
the
occurs
res size.
because
Yeah,
a hologram records the interference pattern of light waves scattered from an object. When the hologram is illuminated properly, the full image can be reconstructed from any fragment of it. This principle is sometimes
that's
referred to as holistic encoding or holographic storage and is used metaphorically in many contexts, such as biology, e.g., DNA containing the blueprint for an organism, or in
yeah,
systems theory, fractals. So,
yeah.
okay.
Fractals, Mandelbrot
So
set.
it's
Yeah,
it's like they took that concept within their computational system where instead of needing an entire CPU, like a CPU with a series of transistors, I
yeah,
mean, I guess
that are individualized and like
yeah, it's kind of
specialized for
like
that purpose. Everything in the ship can do everything.
yeah, like they don't have a CPU that does the electrical computation and then an outside like and then a different piece of hardware, a circuit board to do this thing and this. It's like it can all do the same computation, but when you
Mm,
combine them all together, uh the effect he said what a nonlinear computational output when grouped. So it's like exponent. I don't know if exponential is the right term, but if you put it on a graph and said if 2 of these parts are together, we can produce this much power. 4 of the parts are together, we can produce this much. It's like it's not just a linear, like a diagonal line would be linear, I believe, a linear curve,
yeah,
where like it just doubles. Like one gives me 100 watts, two gives me 200 watts,
Yeah.
four gives me
Three gives
400
me
watts.
400.
That's
Yeah.
a linear like output for grouping. He's saying this is
Right.
nonlinear. It
Hmm.
like goes exponential when you start combining them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
That's trippy.
So back to the language. The language is actually a functional blueprint. The form of the shapes, symbols, and arrangements, therefore, is itself functional. What makes it especially difficult to grasp is that every element of each diagram is dependent on and related to every other element, which means no single detail can be created, removed, or modified independently. Humans like written language because each element of the language can be understood on its own, and from this complex expressions can be built. However, their language is entirely context sensitive, which means that a given symbol could mean as little as a 1-bit flag in one context, or quite literally contain the entire human genome or a galaxy star map in another. The ability
Oh,
for a single small symbol to contain, not just represent, tremendous amounts of data is another counterintuitive aspect of this concept. We quickly realized that even working in groups of 10 or more on the simplest diagrams, we found it virtually impossible to get anything done. As each new feature was added, the complexity of the diagram exponentially grew to unmanageable proportions. For this reason, we began to develop computer based systems to manage these details and achieve some success. Although, again, we found that a threshold was quickly reached beyond which even the supercomputers of the day were unable to keep up. Word was that the extraterrestrials could design these diagrams as quickly and easily as a human programmer could write a Fortran program. Fortran, is that where that comes from? Fortran?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I'm just a little normie, so
Yeah. It's humbling to think that even a network of supercomputers wasn't able to duplicate what they could do in their own heads. I wonder why they assumed they were using their heads to do this. Like maybe they were using computers to generate the diagrams. Like the ETs were using computers. I'm sure they understood the contextual system more, but I don't know. Our entire system of language is based on the idea of assigning meaning to symbols. Their technology, however, somehow merges the symbol and the meaning. So a
Jesus. Thing meaning value. This is like
right?
trisophic
That's why I think this
formulas.
is like this is a celestial knowledge that like really connects deeply to the physics of our universe.
Yeah. Okay. Phew. Jesus.
So their technology merges the symbol and the meaning, so a subjective audience is not needed. You can put whatever meaning you want on the symbols, but their behavior and functionality will not change. Any more than a transistor will function differently if you give it another name. Oh, okay. Hmm. Here's an example of how complex the process is. Imagine I ask you to incrementally add random words to a list such that no two words use any of the same letters. You must perform this exercise entirely in your head, so you can't rely on a computer or even a pen and paper. If the first in the list was, say, fox, the second item excludes all words with the letters FOX. If the next word you choose is tree, then the third word in the list can't have the letters FOXTR or E in it. As you can imagine, coming up with even a third word might start to get a bit tricky, especially since you can't easily visualize the excluded letters by writing down the words. By the time you get to the fourth, fifth, and sixth words, the problem has spiraled out of control. Now imagine trying to add the billionth word to the list. Imagine also that we're working with an infinite alphabet, so you don't run out of letters. And you can imagine how difficult it is for even a computer to keep up. Needless to say, writing this kind of thing by hand is orders of magnitude beyond the capabilities of the brain. So, was he trying to say that like you can't use the same symbol twice? Like in the technology, you never use the same symbol twice because the context like always adds on more symbols, but they inform what the other symbols are going to do. I don't know if I quite got that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like he's talking about like syntax and language, but of a language that I don't understand, so I can't really. I have no context.
Hmm.
It's like us, like you can't use certain letters after another letter because that just don't make fucking sense. But I don't get the context.
Yeah. My background lent itself well to this kind of work, though. I'd spent years writing code and designing both analog and digital circuits, a process that at least visually resembled these diagrams in some way. I also had a personal affinity for combinatorics, which served me well as I helped with the
Oh fuck.
design the design of software running on supercomputers that could juggle the often trillions of rules necessary to create a valid diagram of any reasonable complexity. This overlapped quite a bit with compiler theory as well, a subject I always found fascinating, and in particular compiler optimization, a field that wasn't half of what it is today back then. A running joke among the linguistics team was that the Big O notation couldn't adequately describe the scale of the task, so we'd substitute other words for big. By the time I left, I remember the consensus was astronomical O finally did it justice. I don't understand what he's getting to here with the big
Me neither.
O.
I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all.
I feel like this has to do with compiler theory or linguistics. That the
Okay.
big O notation couldn't add it. Should I just ask AI? What is big O notation? Oh, big O notation is a way to describe the efficiency of an algorithm, particularly in terms of time complexity and space complexity. All right. I don't need
Okay, so it
I don't
just
need
takes
this
them out. Like
nerd.
how many computations per second in time and space can you do? Like I think there's like
Hmm.
a threshold, and they're saying they were pushing that threshold.
Yeah, the big O notation couldn't adequately. Okay, I see. So they use big O notation to describe like how good your computer is, your stats.
Yeah,
And they were saying
yeah,
that they couldn't even use that notation to describe the scale of the task of using this extraterrestrial language. So
yeah.
they came
And
up with this
notation is
term,
the superscript.
astronomical O.
Yep. Yeah, and notation is a superscript in math, so like 3 to the 3rd power, the notation would be the 3rd power. So the big O notation is like infinite, exponential, astronomical O. Huh,
Hmm.
that's crazy.
Like I said, I could go on for hours about the subject and would love to write at least an introductory book on the subject if it wasn't still completely classified. But that's not the point of this letter, so I'll try to get back on track. The last thing I'd like to discuss is how I got copies of this material, what else I have in my possession, and what I plan to do with it in the future. Oh man, he needs to write that book.
Yeah, that's fire, dude. I like what he's going where he's going with right now. That's that's some shit. That's some heat, dog. I got a couple links. I got a couple thoughts I want to fucking talk about. Um, Shout out to all the viewers that are still here. I don't know. We got 5 right now. Hell yeah,
Mine says
gang
two.
gang. Yours says
Two
too.
concurrent.
Um,
Yeah, it's two.
Let me refresh my shit.
Oh, YouTube. Well, the
I
YouTube
got
studio
5.
says two. Oh, wait,
Oh
that's
no,
weird.
I'm on just regular YouTube right now. It says
Yeah,
6
yeah,
watching
regular
now. Oh,
YouTube. That's weird. It does say I have both numbers. I'm not sure why.
yeah. Well,
Hmm.
shout out to the chat. I hope this is interesting to you guys because we're about to go deep right now, dog. This fool's talking deep. We're about to dive in it. So I'm gonna prep it with some video and then let's just dive into it, freestyle it. So I got something for you.
You got videos, bruh?
Video, dog. I also got a couple clips
All
in the
right.
back
Look, we
pocket.
got a little recess period here. We got a lot more to read still, but
Yep, yep, yep. Let's check
here's
this out.
D-Bake's video. Oh.
So shout out to New Realities. Well, I'll edit the description and put their link in this shit. But they had Linda Moulton Howe on, Robert Edward Grant, Dr. J.J. Hertak, who wrote The Keys of Enoch, who we pull from constantly, and it's hilarious. I dare you guys at home to play this game. If you're watching any congressional hearing, any public event about UAP or UFOs, look in the background, play Where's Waldo. It's Where's JJ Hertak, because this motherfucker appears in everything. He's like a If you were to think an interdimensional time traveler that came back into this reality to be part of the current events, yeah, he's always in the
Bro, he's
background,
the
something
Saint
like that.
Germain of our time. Oh my
It
God.
sounds, it looks like it, dude. Dude hasn't aged since the 1960s, and he looks 100 years old the entire time. So, he claims to have met a celestial, whatever. He's always in this. It was a cool little live stream. They had all the people talking. I highly recommend it. Like I said, we'll put the link in the description after right now. But this guy, Robert Edward Grant, when you first showed me these pictures and these diagrams, immediately I thought of his work, and I thought of the work of Robert Russell. Right, that's his name. No, Walter Russell. Sorry, Walter Russell. And Robert Edward Grant bases most of his work off Walter Russell, who was a controversial physicist back in the early 1900s, black and white photos. And he proposed a new theory of the periodic table of elements and electricity and electromagnetics. We'll show some of his diagrams right now, but I want to play his video first and then we'll show the diagrams. So I'm sharing my screen right now if you could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear what he got to say. And I ask you guys, viewers, let me know in the chat. Does this sound familiar with you guys? To what we just read?
I went to Egypt for the first time, and I was asked by Nassim Haramein to give a presentation to about 200 people who were into math and physics. And I presented math as a language. Some of the people here in the room were there that day, and I was supposed to give a presentation. I thought it was going to be kind of boring to talk about math. And I speak 8 languages fluently, and I learned a method to learn language then I applied that same method to mathematics. And it was novel. I figured out how to learn languages fluently within about 3 months. And I mean, like Korean and Japanese and Chinese, tough languages for English speakers to learn. And so I applied that same principle, and I presented my findings of that in short, the numbers are like nouns in this language. The mathematical constants are the verbs of the language. Applying an ing is like implying an incomplete action or applying a gerund to a noun that then makes it into a verb. And then learning the conjugation is critically important. And then circles that overlap and intersect form all of the sentences of this language that then form the syntax of geometry. And I presented this to 200 people there, and I was stunned at the end of the presentation because about half the room was crying. After 4 hours of a math lecture, that was something I didn't expect. I thought maybe they'd be crying, but for a different reason. And that night, we laid out, after we went to the King's Chamber, we had all 3 pyramids open for us. And I was laying out on the rock, outside the Giza, complex, just right in front of the Great Pyramid, and we were looking up at the stars, and we noticed that there were about 75 ships above the Giza Plateau.
All right, we'll end it right there. I didn't know he was going to go into that part, but kind of gnarly. All those statements segue from the language and syntax and mathematics being a language that you could add like grammatical values to in order to perceive it as a language as opposed to just pure mathematics. So that's Robert Edward Grant, and Robert Edward Grant. He bases most of his work off of Walter Russell. And if you want to open that first picture up I put in the chat right there, it's right under your thumbnail. Not the Instagram link, but the first picture.
Terrence Howard brought this up.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Terrence Howard is well known for bringing this up at the moment. I'm going to end my live stream right now if you wanted to show the people.
Sure.
So we didn't really show the pictures of the language yet. I don't know if you want to do it side by side for the people, but when you show me the diagrams and we're reading this paragraph about how this ET physics that uses mathematics and geometry, but it's set up in a syntax-like language that can access the fundamental source code of reality. It reminds me exactly of this periodic table. Those images look very similar. Obviously, ours look like a humanistic interpretation of it, but you see the same type of stylistic way of interpreting geometrics, formulas, and mathematics, and but plotting it out in a harmonious geometrical scale. Um, Obviously, it's the human form, but it looks similar to the way that mathematical formula language is set up via the CARET program. Do you notice some similarities?
Um, hmm. Honestly, I can't really zoom in on this, but it's showing relationships between, I guess, these different elements. And we have some diagrams from the linguistic analysis that is kind of showing using a diagram to try and show some relationships, which I personally have not interpreted. Yeah.
No, I haven't deciphered the actual Palo Alto CARET laboratory linguistic analysis, all those diagrams on, which I'm sure you're showing the people. But I did note that, like on P120 full size, if you bring up that diagram, and just the way how there looks like a big atomic structure, but then it has like three little delineations off of it.
This is in the PDF.
So if you go to the very first link you showed me, the Isaac Packel report, not the original site. You sent me a site before the Wayback Machine site.
Yeah. What's the image called?
P120.
All right, let me find that. Okay. Yeah, I got it.
So you see that big, like, it looks like an atomic structure, and there's three lines, three branches coming off of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of see those like swirlies on the lines.
Yeah.
That reminds me a lot of the periodic table. And if you go to the image below that I put in the chat, that's by the same person, Walter Russell. And this is a diagram showing the 10 octaves of integrating lights. And that's the same guy who wrote the periodic table. So he's perceiving these mathematical formulas in a similar shape and context as what this alien light language is referring to. And like they're looking at mathematics, geometrics, and formulas as a language. And that just is a huge data point in my mind. Like, how random is that? And this guy is talking about that in this CARET interview. So like it looks like a humanized version of it, right? Like,
why was that in the chat? Was that just
no,
when we had started?
I threw that. Yeah, I threw
after
that
we
in
started
there,
the stream because you saw some of those. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
I saw immediately. I saw those images, and I'm like, holy shit! I've seen this kind of shit before. But that was a human, and that was in the early 1900s. The fool was in black and white. You can only find black and white pictures of him, and he was drawing these diagrams, and he was claiming he was like getting these visions from like outside of himself.
Yeah, I'm trying to like picture here. Like essentially, is the overlap just like, is it menial? Like, just, I mean, obviously you're making the connection because we got the little loopy things and it goes like this, like a snake. And so I'm not sure if we're making a very simplistic connection just because of that. And it's not like profound, but it does kind of link. It's at least an example of like, okay, Walter Russell was visualizing the periodic table with this mannerism. And so this lab group, I think. Wait, actually, that's a good question. I wonder. Okay, the description of this
formulas. Yeah.
Well, my question is this diagram, was it written like this on some of the technology, like with all of this, and then they recreated it in the diagram, or did they just take symbols? I think this whole thing is recreated from alien technology. Like, I'm questioning, like, are these lines on the technology as well, or is this them mapping a couple different elements and then connecting?
Mapping. Yeah, I think they're trying to mapping it, and this is what we came with.
Yeah, but even like why?
Just to make
why
sense
did they
of it,
show it in this like orbital streak here with these like,
Why did Walter Russell show it like that? I don't fucking know. I haven't studied this
yeah.
shit long enough. I just see a picture and say, my monkey brain goes, oh, looks the same. Pattern
Yeah, yeah,
recognition.
yeah. I
You know?
feel like someone very much smarter than us watching this stream will see these two things and be like, "Oh my God, I think I understand what they're trying to display here."
Yeah,
If
hopefully,
you
yeah.
can see how Walter was visualizing the periodic table here, and then you look at this and you're like, "Oh, that's a very
Oh
interesting way to
shit.
start to visualize." This is just
Yeah,
like it's kind of over my head. The first thing I see is like a frickin' what is this? A pirate
swirls.
trying to zoom in. Frick. Come on, let me zoom in. I'm this little thing here to me looks like on a pirate ship. It's where you steer it. It's the
The
steering
fucking
wheel.
yeah. The fuck. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I
And
don't.
then
I don't
I
fucking
told
know.
Dedrick earlier, I was like, this is some Jimmy Neutron bullshit. Like he would
Yeah,
know, he would understand this. So
I think that's the intro right there. I think that's the opening scene in the intro is this picture right here. Um,
right.
but it does have some uncanny similarities, right? Like it's almost like too random to consider a coincidence. I don't know. Maybe this person is extremely artistic and read Walter Russell shit because that's old school, and
Yeah.
then kind of extrapolated from it. If we want to be the devil's advocate and consider it fake, or they're both tapping into some real shit. And one version is the ET direct from the ETs, and this was like the human revealed, adjuster revealed, contacting the muse and downloading the information. And if you put them side by side, oh shit, okay, the humans are getting close. Give them another 100 years, and they'll get there.
Hmm.
But yeah, Terrence Howard kind of made that shit big. We just saw Robert Edward Grant talk about it, how he's talking about turning mathematics formulas and geometries into a syntax, a language. Like an ing would be like X formula and Z formula mixed together to add a syntax at the end of the word, which changes the meaning to this. And that's exactly what he was explaining right here with the Fox, the FOX, and all this shit. So if that's a real diagram they created based off of them trying to figure out the alien syntax,
Mm-hmm.
then one could only be befuddled at the fact that another enigmatic person on our planet named Walter Russell developed diagrams that look extremely similar.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of his works, if you want to click it for the people, it's right above the first periodic table, the Instagram link.
You want me to actually open the Instagram link?
Yeah. Check it out. I mean, to bring it away from a technical alien point of view and to bring it back to a more natural, to make the people realize this isn't just alien technology shit, but also exists in nature, and it's the same pattern. It's not a similar pattern. It's the same pattern.
Harmonic series. Okay, this is an X-ray of a seashell of our shell,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and you get these. Okay, these wavy things.
Mm-hmm. The same waves, and it's
Yeah.
like, and now look at that 2D image, but like kind of try to perceive the 3D image, and you see depth going to the 1/8 and the way back, and the 1/2 would be in the very forward. Like it almost seems like something like that is going on, and you're perceiving all these lines through itself three-dimensionally, and there's little cross points, intersections of the lines that are probably hard data points, Lagrange points if you're talking about orbits on planets, like just different formulas that have time,
So
space, repercussions, and value.
here's an interesting. Here in this quote, it says, "Music is a system of harmonic relationships inherent within the quantized fractal structure of the cosmos." Marshall Lefferts.
There we go.
I mean,
There we go.
that's what he was talking about. This technology is fractal.
Oh, and what we're seeing is a fractal right there. Literally, see the 1/2 is closer to us, so it's bigger, and the 1/8 is farther away, so it seems smaller. But in reality, they're the same shape. It's a fractal. It's that hologram. Um, I don't know. It just seems too close to ignore, if that makes sense. I mean, I hope those data points were valuable to the viewers and the listeners in the future of this, but that's the second you showed me these diagrams, that's what my mind started my adjuster started flashing those in front of my mind.
Yeah, it's sort of like a follow the threads. Like if you want to understand this linguistics analysis primer, maybe we need to understand the Walter's visualization system and how he laid out the periodic table so that we can use a similar manner to actually, because like
Yep.
shapes help us understand the context, I guess, to the mathematics, because shapes are like when we see things assembled in the world, and then we can
Yep.
extrapolate mathematics from it. So maybe what we're missing in studying this language is actually like the correct contextual building blocks and visualization systems to like teach
Yeah.
us how to use these in blocks and then perceive the system as a whole. And maybe that's what they were trying to do with that diagram.
Exactly. It's like perceiving the reality through either mathematical formulas or geometry, you know? Because, like, if you look at the solar system and I show a little kid of all of the planets revolving around the solar system, then I place the geometric shape over the orbits of every uh, planet, it would be easier for the kid to understand, oh, the orbit is shaped like this, that orbit shaped like this. But then if I showed the same kid a set of mathematical formulas that could predict where the orbit is in time and space, and it's just a line of x, y, z, x plus minus 13. He's not going to be, what the fuck is this? But then you
Hmm.
show him the geometrical shape that it's showing, and he'd be like, oh, I get it.
I see.
So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we need to perceive math through these geometries, instead of these just linear formulas.
Yeah, this is really wild. Please let us know in the chat if you have any idea of terminology to help us understand why these diagrams are laid out like this. Um, it seems like a linguistic person who's like used to looking at diagrams on language. Because look, I mean, look at these symbols and everything. Like, and they're written out in these circular patterns. And then there's like these connecting things in between the diagrams.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
It's like three-dimensional
it's
holography. It's
so,
crazy.
it feels so overmet. I mean, bro, they said they had 200 people in their lab working on this.
Yeah.
So
You only need two legacy boys. We'll fucking crack the code.
that's what I was gonna say.
Give
Legacy
us all that
Labs.
money.
Uh, hilarious. Let's get back to reading. So we're
The
about an
plot
hour and a
thickens,
half
right?
into this because
You weren't expecting that angle to hit,
we
were
still
you?
gotta read the this PDF explaining the anti-gravity devices.
That's cool. Let's wrap it up. That's cool. Where we got an hour and a half? Yeah, let's do like another 20, 30 minutes, finish it up, and
Yeah.
give the people a little bit, another fucking little nugget of truth. But yeah, how about that angle, right? Not too bad, huh? Not too bad
Yeah, no, that's
for
a good
coming up on the
link.
fucking off the top.
So let's see. How much do we have here?
Should I take over?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because we could also just skip to the PDF because that's enough. That's like a decent background on like
Oh shit.
this
We didn't
Isaac
even
guy.
go to the PDF.
Yeah, bro, we've just been reading the backstory to the PDF. The PDF is the actual like document that they
Fuck.
explain stuff. So,
All right,
yeah,
viewers, we're gonna have to do another special episode to
like
actually go over
we can either
everything.
do a part two until we cover the PDF, which I guess I mean we were used to doing part
I think we
twos.
should do that. I'm already stoked. I'm primed and I'm hungry for more. So I feel like if we leave this after this, give me a
Yeah,
couple days, and I'm gonna fucking pull out some more fucking worms from the mud and have some more shit we can display alongside with it.
because like okay, so it's really only uh 9 pages of text, and it's from the PDF. So I
Yep.
feel like we could probably just read that.
You jump into it. This is a
Yeah,
good
just jump
enough
to it.
preface.
Yeah, I think that is a good enough preface, and we got the link in
Okay.
the commentary because the next part of it, he basically is talking about how he smuggled the documents out, why he left the program. It's like it's interesting and it's a good backstory. Again, you know, like I said, how he got the documents out, what inspired him to bring it to Coast to Coast. But we got the whole backstory basically of the technology and who they were. So let's see if we can bang out this PDF here and learn about these personal anti-gravity devices. So okay, so CARET means Commercial Applications Research for Extraterrestrial Technology. This is these are select pages from a research report. Um, so yeah, Dedrick, do you want to start reading here on number one, the overview?
Fuck it, let's go. Palo Alto CARET Laboratory Q486 research report. Hopefully the AI doesn't pick up that and just block us. um, Number one, overview. This document is intended as a primer on the tentative findings of the Q4 1986 research phase, referred to herein as Q486, at the Palo Alto CARET Laboratory, PACL. In accordance with the CARET program mission statement, the goal of this research has been achieving a greater understanding of extraterrestrial technology within the context of commercial applications and civilian use. Examples of such applications, in no particular order, include transportation, medicine, construction, energy, computing, and communication. The ultimate goal of this research is to provide a core set of advanced technologies in a condition suitable for patent review. Damn, Salvatore Pais. Number two, extraction. The process of converting raw artifacts of extraterrestrial origin to usable, fully documented human technology is termed extraction. Good movie, by the way, on Netflix. It has nothing to do with aliens. The extraction process ultimately consists of two phases. First is the establishment of a complete theoretical and operational understanding of the artifact, and second is a distillation of the artifact's underlying principles into a usable, product-oriented technology. Suggestions of specific product applications on behalf of PACL have been encouraged, but are not considered mandatory or essential. The results of a successful extraction are collected in what is termed an extraction package, EP, which should include the following: complete theoretical and operational overview, assessment and summary of compositional materials, at least 3 working prototypes demonstrating multiple instances of successful, repeatable, and reliable implementation, assembly notes, and BOM, whatever the fuck that
Bill
means.
of materials.
Bill of materials, receipt for what the fuck you used. At the time of this writing, a fully successful extraction has not yet been achieved. Damn. Although numerous threads of research are showing promise. This kind of links up and aligns with what they're talking about, how a lot of aerospace companies in the private sector have UAP technology but cannot actually
It's sort
get
of an
an
offshoot
extraction
of the
package.
original, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not like a full
yeah.
recreation due to like material restrictions, and there's just so many sciences that go into making the full UFO, like especially the interstellar version. And we're just like working with versions of anti-gravity principles.
And we're having a hard time reverse engineering it. um, Up until the time of this writing, there has not been a successful extraction. It has not yet been achieved. So that means it's all theorizing off what the technology is, but they haven't developed an applicable way to use it.
I
Kind of
wonder
like that
though,
aerospace company that, remember, it forfeited extraterrestrial material because it was a liability. They've been holding it onto it for too
yeah,
long, and that they couldn't extract anything from it. I don't know who mentioned that first, but it was in the congressional hearing, and Louis Elizondo talks
yeah.
about it a lot. So
Elizondo, it's in his book, where he said that his ATIP team was trying to get allowed to get in there and see that material, see that craft. And they told them like, look, yeah, one of the things they said was that it was a liability. They didn't necessarily want to keep keeping it for themselves. That it was difficult to reverse engineer. But they basically told Louis and his team, they're like, if you want to get in here to see it, you have to get a certain like clearances, and these are the hoops that you got to jump through. You got to talk to these people, and ultimately Louis and them they weren't able to get that permission. So they kind of felt like they were getting blocked by the gatekeepers of the legacy program. Um, so yeah, this technology definitely falls under that context. But it's honestly, I haven't heard of this angle of this technology first time.
No, me neither. It just seems unreal, dude. It's fucking crazy. It would take a lot of energy to come forward and fake this. And don't get me wrong, humans can fake a lot of shit. I am not stupid and naive. Okay, I've been around the block, nigga. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
let somebody fucking pull the
But
wool over
the
my
bro
eyes.
just put it up on the website and said, I don't want money. Just if you share it, make sure to include all the information.
Damn. That's what we're doing right now. Shout out to the brother who leaked it. We took the baton and we're gonna fucking run to the end of the finish line. And shout out to the brothers who came before us, because without them we wouldn't be able to do shit. Executive summary of Q486. Q486 focused on 4 key subjects, all of which were based on artifacts of extraterrestrial origin obtained from crash site recovery operations. Jake Barber, conducted during the last 2 decades within the continental United States. These subjects are 1. Personal anti-gravity generator, so named for its small portable size. 2. Three-dimensional image recorder / projector. Damn, that's fire. 3. That's like Star Wars hologram
Yeah, they
shit.
don't even explain that in this document. They only talk about the anti-grav.
Compartmentalization. 3. A complex system of symbols and geometric constructs capable of both defining the functionality of certain artifacts as well as manipulating their behavior. Crudely analogous to a computer programming language, but without the need for a compilation or interpretation phase. That's gnarly, dude. That's gnarly. Number 4, research subject. Personal anti-gravity. Anti-gravity technologies are among the most ubiquitous recovered from extraterrestrial crafts. While anti-gravity is most commonly associated with propulsion, the principles underlying the technology extend into a far broader domain. Indeed, virtually all aspects of most extraterrestrial craft seem to incorporate its use in some way. A prominent example is a seemingly impenetrable field of controllable diameter and attenuation surrounding the craft that protects it from weather conditions and the surrounding environment, as well as debris and, unsurprisingly, ballistic weaponry. I just thought of Captain Picard on the Enterprise. Shields, put up the shields.
Yeah.
Additional examples include dampening of G-force on passengers and onboard equipment, movement of doors and hatches, or their closest equivalents, and even placement of fixtures, such as control consoles or their closest equivalents, within a given space. Perhaps most startling is the fact that the very components within a given extraterrestrial craft appear to be held in place in relation to one another, exclusively by anti-gravitational means. Dang, dude. So, like, this is like their underlying, like, this is just like the foundation of their technology. What we consider like breaking edge, cutting edge anti-grav is probably the foundation that they like build off of. Like what we consider like a basic computer, like a CPU, they're like, yeah, dude, that's basic. That's crazy. This is a partial explanation for the commonly noted lack of rivets and adhesives in the construction of these crafts. Wow. Are you kidding me? They don't need nails and shit because they can keep shit together with anti-grav.
Yeah, right.
That's insane, dude. I haven't even thought of that. PACL aims to translate this technology into a product-oriented extraction package, or EP, capable of directed application within the consumer market. However, since the sudden emergence of such radically advanced technology would undoubtedly yield destructive consequences, PACL recommends a strategy of incremental dissemination in which deliberately downgraded versions of the original technology are released over a period of years or decades to soften the impact of integration within existing infrastructures in technological, economical, and social terms. I'm about to throw my computer against the wall.
Those
Exactly.
those
Fucking assholes.
That's what Apple does. They have iPhone 20 ready, but they give us iPhone.
Yeah, right? Bullshit and a half. Yeah, dude, that's artificial scarcity, that bullshit.
Oh.
God damn it, dude. Really? Yeah, we have the dankness, but we're going to have a 50-year plan to roll it out. The humans are stupid. 100-year rollout plan. Like, what the fuck, dude? 1970? That would be until 2070, man. They think we're that fucking lame?
And what's crazy is that like they never rolled it out at all. They didn't give it. They didn't even give us step A.
I mean, maybe these whole drone shit in New Jersey is the beginning of step A. Maybe it's like a fucking 100-year plan, and this is now the end of phase one, finally.
Okay. You know? First disclose, they're like, well, before we release the consumer anti-grav, we better at least let them know that ET is real, and then we'll start rolling out like slowly.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that paragraph just outlined everything we're going through right now. That's fucking crazy. I hope that made you guys feel just like I did, man. Fucking stand up, rise up, join the legacy. Let's go. It's not it is a physical organization, but it's a spiritual organization first off. So you can join us in soul and spirit right now, baby. Or you know it, you're at the front lines of the cosmic war, blasting the rebels in the face with spiritual Merkaba.
When you join, we will give you your own personal anti-gravity device.
Yep.
Sorry, I meant your own spiritual gravity device in your mind.
That's what I was going to say. At the very end, I was going to be like, but it's in your mind, and you got to unlock it yourself. Okay. 4.1. What is personal anti-gravity? I don't know, but we'll give you one if you join the list today. Not all recovered extraterrestrial technologies are equal. Damn, we were saying that in the live stream today. Got some physical ETs, got the janky UFOs, and some crazy spiritual, like you can't even see type of planets have ET crafts that you can't even perceive. So there's a scale, there's a spectrum of intergalactic crafts. You can have the fucked up 1998 Ultima UFO, or you can have the fucking 2070 Ferrari UFO. It just depends on what civilization we're interacting with. So not all recovered extraterrestrial technologies are equal. And many previous experiments on anti-gravity have been performed on cumbersome artifacts suffering from enormous form factors and impractical weights. An ironic consequence of these previous generations of experimentation is that many man-made aircraft that would be otherwise ideal for anti-gravity propulsion models are incapable of supporting the weight of the device before its gravity-canceling effects are activated. That's crazy. So, the weight of the device to create the anti-gravity is heavier than the ship itself. Is that what they're implying?
It sounds like many previous experiments on anti-gravity performed on cumbersome artifacts suffered from form factors and impractical. It sounds like they're adding a little bit of our own technology, and then they try to use the anti-grav, but then it's like the plane. Yeah, the plane is too heavy. It can't like initialize. It can't initialize. Okay. An ironic consequence.
So they're just trying to like take that little like propulsion
and just stick it on top
anti-grav and stick it on a plane
or something like that. Yeah.
Cue the TR3.
Many man-made aircraft that would be otherwise ideal for anti-grav propulsion models are incapable of supporting the weight of the device.
Yeah.
The weight of the device. That kind of sounds like it's the weight of the anti-grav device.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe because it's like...
maybe the device will rip apart the airframe.
Yeah, that could be it. So, keep reading.
Yeah. Interesting. Hope this is stirring up some spiritual emotions. Some thoughts. I'm about to start crying like Jake Barber. It's funny how he's like, he had an emotional experience, but no tears came out of his eyes. He kept the fucking stone eyes. Whatever. This has led to many clumsy and accident-prone solutions, such as using a second anti-gravity generator to load and position the first within the aircraft before activation and takeoff. Dude, that's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, though. And then repeating the process in reverse after landing, but before deactivation. Despite some minor successes in narrowly defined domains, these approaches are obviously not acceptable in the long term. Wow. I wonder if the whole TR3B lore had anything to do with this. Like, they had to use an anti-gravity machine to lift and place another anti-gravity machine on an airplane just so it can take off. And then upon landing, they had to use the same anti-gravity machine to take off the gravity machine on the airplane because it's too
I think it's
heavy.
because the anti-gravity machine creates a spherical field,
Mass.
and so when they want to like lift up the plane to a certain height, or no, it's like I guess if the plane was on the ground and the machine, they're making it sound like the machine that generates the anti-gravity is actually too heavy to place in the craft unless the anti-gravity field is already activated. So I guess they're making the plane
Oh,
in this
wow.
case hover with the
Fly
anti-gravity,
already
and
and then
then the
place the
machine is
anti-grav
also
on the
hovering in
flying
like
plane.
0 G,
What the
and then they
fuck,
turn
dog?
that machine on and it can all stay in one piece without like
Yeah, that's
the
so
machine
impractical. It's not even
falling through
funny,
the.
dude.
Yeah.
It's cool you guys got anti-grav, but you can't even utilize it. Fuck. Dude, that's gnarly, but that makes it sound so real. It makes it sound like
It
engineering
does.
problems, like trying to figure out the applications and the problems. And this is old, dude. We probably figured it out by now. Um, yeah. All right. Plowing ahead. Recently, however, a rather different implementation of anti-gravity technology has appeared. Undoubtedly, the sorry, I just like saying undoubtedly like that. Undoubtedly, the product of a different and presumably more advanced source. It can produce gravity canceling effects of magnitudes comparable to the existing artifacts in a package less than 2 feet across and weighing less than 5 pounds. Wow. This sounds a lot like the TR-3B. All the lore we hear about it, like the TR-3B could have been a perfected aspect of this program, like how
Hmm.
it can cancel gravity canceling effects. It's not 100%, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
damn
So
near 90%.
yeah, so I think what they're giving a little bit of a historical primer, but in this PDF, they're primarily using the personal anti-gravity devices, which is I think the image that we showed earlier of that spiky thing. And so they're saying that like what they're working with now is trying to use these smaller devices, which seem to be a newer implementation that maybe they've recovered from these other sources. So in the past, maybe we've gotten previous anti-gravity technology, but it was clunkier or bigger. And so they're saying in more recent times, possibly from another race of ETs, there's much smaller devices, and that's what these
Oh.
are.
Okay, and that's why it prefaced the first paragraph with not all recovered extraterrestrial
Yeah.
technologies are equal.
And I think this is
Okay.
also maybe why they're trying to make a consumer application, because it's like it's finally they have it in a small form factor, the personal anti-gravity. They've recovered this version and they're like, "Oh, well, this is small enough to like actually implement in like daily
Wow.
operations. And we can
Okay. So
slowly
they're
integrate
comparing that
this
piece to the
to the
heavy
big
piece
one,
that
the
they were
heavy one
fucking
where
with
they needed to
before.
use, yeah.
Mm. This shit is stupid, dog. Either this is fucking Lord of the Rings type writing or this is real ass shit. One of the two. Um, do we even have any viewers still right now?
Yeah, we got
6
5.
watching. Wow. Shout out.
Yo,
Shout out to the people.
drop a yo in the chat if you enjoying
Yeah,
this.
throw some in the
Like
chat.
we
Talk
don't
some
know if
shit.
this is boring AF or if you guys
Yeah.
think we're stupid for reading this. Um yeah,
Talk some
guys.
shit, dude. Talk some shit or be like, yeah, that's what's up. I dig it. If I personally know you, you better drop a fucking yo 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 in the chat. I swear to God. I can't see if you're watching now, but I'll meet you in the dream state and slap you in the face. All right.
It's
Um,
our 6 concurrent viewers unfortunately are the intelligence agencies using burner accounts, so they don't want to drop a yo yo
yeah.
yo. But
So two of those are
shout
our
out to
handlers.
our DoD handlers and the FBI.
Oh, Mythical Pixel,
Yo,
what's up, yo?
yo, yo, yo.
What's good? What's good? Shout out to Mythical Pixel.
Do you know
Hopefully you're
them?
not my CIA handler. No, I don't fucking know him.
They're giving some acknowledgement then. They are
Yeah,
agents.
yeah,
Dang. Some shit.
that's what's up. Well, tell the CIA we're harmless. Um,
We're harmless. We're homeless.
homeless and harmless. No, no, obviously not. Mythical Pixel, join the Discord and the Legacy about section, and we have a little pledge you could sign. If you like the pledge, sign that shit, send it to me, and I got a fucking little present for you. Yep. Join the Legacy FHP Discord. Got a little pledge you can sign that forces you to be the best you can be. If you sign that shit low key and send it to me, we got gifts. We got gifts to bestow. So yeah, join the Discord. Links in the YouTube description. I don't think the link is in the video description, but all right, let's keep going on. Shout out to Mythical Pixel for holding it down. And if you are my handler, then I guess I'll send something to my handler. Okay. Packle has termed this technology personal anti-gravity, and its virtually negligible weight and dimensions suggest applications as focused as anti-gravity generation for a single human user. Oh, it's not that much. It's like anti-gravity light.
Yeah.
Early experiments suggest, however, that despite its remarkable precision and focus, this technology is equally effective when broadened to deal with massive payloads of arbitrary scales. Okay, so they can probably stack up a couple of these and make it like double, triple the field, I'm guessing.
When broadened to deal with massive payloads. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're just discovering that, like, even though this is small, it can still like deal massive damage or massive work.
I'll finish this page out, then you want to take it?
Yeah.
4, Section 2. Overview of recovered anti-gravity artifacts. Key artifacts. Packle has conducted the brunt of its anti-gravity research on 3 key artifacts. The first is what Packle considers to be an anti-gravity generator, seen in Figure 4.1, a device that appears to provide a source of anti-gravity that can then be projected onto or harnessed by other components within the craft. The second 2 artifacts are curved I-beam segments, seen in Figure 4.2, that, when placed anywhere within a certain radius of the generator during a specific mode of its operation, immediately fly into what is presumed to be their relative positions within the original construction of the crafts. Oh, wow. So they can assign spatial coordinates for specific inanimate objects, and the second they activate the gravitational field, those inanimate objects will snap to their corresponding time-space position. If I'm reading that right.
Yeah. And so look, the figures are right down on the next page. So Figure 4.1, this is the anti-gravity generator, that's the spiky-looking thing. And there's a higher...
no, that's the actual picture that's in the document. Holy shit.
Yeah, the pictures are from the PDFs. They're just like...
Okay.
He gave us higher quality pictures. Yeah, I have it up on screen here. This is the higher quality, like, full color scan of that image that's also in the PDF. So that's the gravity generator, and there's the 2 pieces that they're talking about, that the curved I-beam segments, when placed anywhere within a certain radius of the generator, immediately fly in what is presumed to be their relative positions within the original construction of the craft. Yo. So it, like, those 2 I-beam segments, when you turn it on,
dude.
they position themselves where they used to be in the whole system. So this is what they're saying. Yeah. This is what they're saying. Like, when you actually have all the pieces to the craft, you turn on the device and it assembles itself and keeps everything in place. No rivets, no screws, no glue. And it's because of the language is like encodes these positions, I guess.
That's crazy, dude. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, me neither.
Let's see.
Well, your mind is racing. You know what's up. You're like...
No, I don't know what's up at all. I'm trying to... Oh, you can't link to Discord anymore outside of Discord. Just trying to get a link to our Discord server in the chat, but I can't link it.
Oh, okay. Should I just continue reading?
Yeah, keep going. Did I finish that page? I can keep going.
Not quite. You got a little bit.
I'll put the link in the link is in our about, but Discord since has like updated their link policy, and every time you try to copy and paste outside of Discord that isn't a public server, it says like link hidden, whatever, stupid. All right, that's crazy. That's so smart though. Like you just assign like a time space coordinate into the I-beam itself or whatever the fucking piece is itself, and then
Well,
you
it's
just turn
not
on
even a
field
time. It's not a time space coordinate. It's a relationship to
to the
relative
gravitational field.
points.
You're right. Yeah, it's relative. It's not
Yeah.
time space points.
Because no matter where you have the assembled craft, it's the parts that need to stay in a spatial relationship with each other to like stay together as a cohesive unit.
In relationship to the gravitational field, not in time and space. Yeah, that makes sense. See, we're over here correcting ourselves. 422, secondary artifacts. Additionally, PACL has been provided with a small redacted device capable of controlling A1 by activating and deactivating it, as well as switching between its three primary modes of operation. This device, assigned the identification code S1, is of particularly sensitive importance, as it is the only known method of controlling A1. Well, A1 would be an I-beam, right?
Let's see. I thought A2 and A3 are no, A1 is the generator artifact, and the I-beams are A2 and A3.
Oh, or A2 and A3. Okay, so this is the gravitational field generator. Okay.
Yeah, but they're saying that there's a control device with a small blank device controlling of A1. I don't think they depict the controller device. They only depict the anti-gravity thing.
So the personal anti-grav relies on another device.
There's some other remote control that allows them to switch between the primary modes of operation and activate and deactivate.
Okay,
and they call that S1. It controls A1.
That's S1. Okay.
The only known method of controlling A1. So it's like they can turn it on and they can see like what it's doing, but like they're still trying to figure out everything in the whole
mechanism. Yeah. That's crazy. 423, rigid spatial relationships. Unlike the more general purpose anti-gravity fields generated by implementations of this technology obtained from other sources, A1 is capable of multiple modes of operation and varying levels of precision. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of A1's functionality is its ability to focus its anti-gravitational effects on specific objects rather than entire spatial volumes. Oh my god. Creating what PACL has termed rigid spatial relationships. That's blowing my mind. Ability to focus anti-gravitational effects rather than entire like rooms or fields. That's insane. Like selective gravitational fields.
Down to like the object level. Yeah, like each of those I-beam pieces, it's like it's sending out a beam to like each one of those, and it's managing the space and like the relationship between the distance between those two.
And not affecting anything else in the room.
Right.
That's insane, dude. That's fucking crazy. All right. It makes me giggle because it seems like legit. Fuck yeah. An RSR can be thought of as creating an implicit solid between two or more constituent parts separated by empty space. Once in effect, these constituent parts behave as if they are directly and physically linked and are completely inseparable by pulling or pushing them in opposing directions. Only when the effect of A1 is deactivated will they once again behave as separate objects. Wow. As an example, imagine cutting a broomstick into two segments, each 1 foot in length. Once separated, each segment is its own object, capable of being moved or rotated independently of the other. Under the effect of an RSR, however, the segments might behave as if there were a 3-foot rod consisting of both foot-long broomstick segments separated by an additional foot of empty space. Wow. while the two rod segments would still appear to be separate to the point that an observer would be able to pass their hand through the space that separates them, they would be unable to move one of the rods without the other behaving as if it were directly
Ooh.
attached. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Sweet God Almighty. That's wild. That's crazy. You want to take over from here?
Yeah.
Let's kill that page.
Yeah. Overview
Wow.
of A1.
Oh man, I want to believe
this does not sound like a LARP to me. That's for sure.
No, yeah, this is crazy, dude. I want to believe. Where the fuck is fucking Ashton Forbes, dumbass?
Yeah,
where's
he at? I should mess. Actually, he follows me on Twitter. I should message him. I think.
Yeah, message his ass. Be like, "What's up, dog? We got some shit for you."
Yeah, like this is anti-gravity science. Although this one's
He
hard
might be
to.
sub to the channel. I'm not sure.
Yeah, good point. Overview of A1. A1 consists of two-segment cylindrical core, 1 foot, 2.2 inches in length, and 8.3 inches in diameter. Oh, cool. We got measurements. So 1 foot, 2.2 inches in length, and 8.3 inches in diameter, with needle-like appendages extending from each end. The total length of the device with needles included is 2 feet, 2.4 inches. Okay, that's smaller than I thought. So we're talking like,
It's really small.
I guess that it's kind of like a handheld. That's why they call it personal. About 2 feet from needle to needle. Both core segments feature a triangular array of 3 arms, extending 7.6 inches from the center of the core, each of which end in a circular pad with a diameter of 2 inches. The device weighs approximately 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Research on the internal functionality of A1 began late in Q486, and as such, little is currently known. What is certain, however, is that the device contains no moving parts whatsoever, does not feature any kind of control interface in the form of buttons, switches, or levers, and apparently can only be manipulated by the technology contained in S1. According to the limited data to which PACAL has been giving access in regards to the placement and housing of A1 within the original craft, A1 was one of a pair of identical generators.
Oh, wow.
Together responsible for all anti-gravity related functionality, from propulsion of the craft itself to placement of all components within the craft's internal design. From this information, as well as experiments conducted with S1, it has been discovered that A1 operates in at least 3 modes of operation. Okay, let's go back a little bit and just try and paint that picture. So there's 2 of these devices inside the craft. It says one of them is responsible for holding all the pieces of the craft together, and then the other one is responsible for actually moving the craft or something. A pair of they're together responsible. They work together for all the anti-gravity, which includes holding the components together, and I guess movement of the craft. So, okay, here's the 3 modes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that picture you were showing, and originally, those are the 2 I-beams that are like on the side of it.
Yeah.
Wow. And so when you turn it on, they like snap into place. So those are the 2 I-beams.
Yeah, okay. I imagine those 2 I-beams are maybe part of a circular piece. So it's like they're sort of like,
you see the picture of them? Like it looks like a real DSLR picture, dude. It doesn't look like a render. I'm looking at it now.
The shadows and stuff.
If you go to photo 2 full size, where it only shows the I-beams, and photo 3 full size. I mean, obviously you can make this and just take pictures of it and call it something else that it's not, but.
No, yeah, bro. You could create a fake 3D, but even the noise, I see the
noise. Yeah, exactly.
The noise,
like old school but it's clean.
Yeah. Now I wonder. I think these were paper photographs that he would have smuggled out. You can even see some artifacts like that. So the noise might be from the scanner. But the DSLRs would also have some noise. Yeah, he would have scanned these. You can even see something like a hair or something, a fracture.
Yeah, I see that on the left side, on the left I-beam, yeah. Interesting. Wow, dude. Unless these are like movie props or something, I don't...
Right. I guess the question is, if you fake this, would you just make these as props, like physically, and then take the pictures, or would you do a 3D render? 3D render would be easier to spot, especially in 2006. This came out in 2006.
Yeah, this wasn't good enough for 2006. Even like nowadays, this is like barely pushing it.
I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be crazy hard to like make these as props. You know, they do a lot of that
And
stuff
then
for
take pictures of
movies.
them.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
take
exactly.
pictures.
That's
So
what I
that
was
would be
thinking
the way
too.
to go if you're gonna fake this. But again, like this, the backstory to this, it really does tie into a lot of current events with like anti-gravity drones being thrown around, crash retrievals, and now they're saying this was part of the crash retrieval legacy. It's a specific type of technology. There's this language. Oh, you know what? This connects a link that we haven't heard before. When people say that there's hieroglyphs seen on the craft, you'd wonder like why is that? Is that just like is that like us putting the American flag on our craft? This document is saying that the hieroglyphs actually have a functional use. They're actually the program that's running to like keep this, or it's the software like that when you run the anti-gravity field, I think that lettering in like encodes the positions and stuff.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Hmm.
It looks like District 9 shit.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Looks like it came off of that set or some shit. Whatever. All right. Yeah, am I keep reading? Yeah,
Right.
you're reading, right?
Yeah, I'm reading.
Keep reading. I'm gonna pee real quick one second.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the three modes of operation. The first mode is called field mode. A1 generates a field of presumably arbitrary size and any shape that can be expressed as a convex volume. Within this field, gravity is effectively redefined with any desired strength and orientation. The parameters of this mode include the shape of the field itself are defined by redacted S1. Surprisingly, A1 does not appear capable of generating a field with any degree of concavity, nor can the strength or orientation of the artificial gravity within the field vary from one point to another. An example of field mode would be creating a controlled gravity environment within an aircraft or spacecraft for passengers and cargo. Component mode, rather than generating a general purpose field of constant gravity control, A1 will manipulate the gravitational effect on specific objects, allowing them to take any position or orientation relative to its own centroid. Component mode appears to be used commonly for maintaining the physical construction of a craft's design. Rather than attaching a craft's components to one another by way of rivets, adhesives, welding, or the like, they are simply held in place quite precisely by anti-gravitational means. Unlike field mode, PACL has not yet been successful in controlling the parameters or data that drive this mode. S1 does not appear capable of controlling this mode beyond activating or deactivating it. Once in effect, the details of which components are affected and how seem to be provided by the components themselves. That's what I was saying, where I think the language written
Oh
on the
wow.
components makes the encoding.
That dictates what they actually do.
Yeah. And they don't
Interesting. Dude,
understand the language yet.
This is
But
computing way beyond
yes,
us. Like
yes. And on top of that, these materials they mentioned are also made out of this material that is like fractal, and each part of it is a computational unit in and of itself.
Mirage material.
You know what? If each part is a computational unit, then writing the symbols on the external, it is like coding inside a software. It's just that
Yeah.
it's reading those symbols because the whole object itself is like a computational unit and can sense the symbols that are written on it.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
so
Yeah.
they just
And
like
it's
they
they're
print
programming from the
they
symbols. Yeah.
yeah, normally you don't show, like in our code, you have the user interface and then the code is in the background, but it's like their code, they just imprint it as a visual symbol on the outside because maybe it's like it's complex enough to represent all the
No,
meanings.
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. If this is a real language of light that all they had to do was write it down and it takes advantage of the underlying physics of the cosmos, like literally they found the language that the cosmos was coded in from the angelic point of view. So
I actually
before the
don't even
times
think that it needs to
material.
be like that, because if the material is a computer,
Okay.
then the material is just reading their language, their coded language. It's not actually,
Yeah,
the language
exactly.
doesn't
That's
actually connect to time space itself.
well, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get like super deep with it. So let's for hypothetical reasons, let's imagine this language is somehow pre-qualified in time space. So just by the fact of writing it, it modulates time and space itself. And then let's get a chunk of steel, but every atom in that chunk of steel is holographically programmed to react to a set of language. But you're right, it doesn't even have to be the language of the universe. It just has to be that those atoms has to be primed to react to a specific set. But you would think that the atoms would react more cohesively and efficiently if they were based off a language that was more in line with the cosmic trend, if that makes sense. So like if you could put like physics and mathematics and geometry into a language, like we said in the earlier part of the episode, like Robert Edward Grant was talking about, looking at those diagrams of the periodic table of elements, seeing all those relationships, being able to codify that into a language, and then creating a substrate of atoms that react to that language. All you would have to do is write that down, and just by virtue of that language being right in time and space, the atoms would act accordingly, right?
Yeah,
So you could just write whatever you want on the atom, and then
I
the atom
hear
would do
you,
it.
but I think that's like, I was like, how could 2D symbols and an energy field without a computer cause the material to act? But it 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 then makes sense to me that if the material that these are made out of are like computer processors
They're
themselves,
programmed to recognize that
they're
language.
programmed to recognize that language, and then the
Yeah.
field just basically adds like, it just makes it all like start. It's like energy. You're energizing the computer then with the anti-gravity thing,
Hmm.
and then
With the
it's
language
reading the
itself.
symbols, which is the code,
Mm.
which says hold it in this pattern because we
Do
need to make
this.
this
Yep.
craft. And so I actually think that's a little bit more feasible in my mind, because it actually is a similar way to how we build our computer and how it's interpreting a language running inside the circuit board. In this case,
Okay, so it doesn't
yeah,
need to
so it
be
doesn't
like a
actually need to be like a universal
divine
language,
or
right?
cosmic. Okay,
And
it
I
could
don't like, why would divine, spiritual, cosmic, like, is that
even
how they
need that
would
shit.
use to make material craft? This feels very, even the fact that there's multiple like parts instead of a seamless like UFO like we've heard about before
Okay.
speaks to
You're right. You're right.
like a modular
Material ET.
elements. Yeah, material ET. uh I mean, I feel like I have a book that this guy goes to kind of like, he doesn't use the word Pleiadian, but it's a humanoid race, and they talk about using these small handheld anti-gravity generators to move stuff like cargo, just moving cargo off of the ship and stuff. um and I'll just grab it. So, to all the book readers out there, this is called Other Civilizations. Of course, it's in reverse. Other Civilizations Journey to Another Star System, by R.E. Olson, Renee Eric Olson. And it's not super well known. Again, it's not really worth showing you. Although I will say, I will say this
Yeah,
UFO in
fucking.
the front, has those octagonal segments. This is actually a space station, though. So I was just trying to relate it to that 8 gon. But
Jake Barber
yeah,
action.
they talk about the personal anti-gravity devices, handheld, that they use. This guy actually goes to their home planet. They took 200 humans in like the 2000s, on like a
Secret space program.
6 month space journey.
20 and
Um,
back.
yeah, so this is a really cool book. I'm super glad I found it.
I'm sure it is cool. You're rubbing that thing like it was a female counterpart.
Well,
Like this right here,
I'm like
right here.
I'm correlating this CARET document with this, and I'm like, the holy
Ooh,
grail, the contextual picture is merging, the synchronistic connections are weaving a thread.
half chubbed up, hormones
Rabashanda
fucking popping.
Rabakanda.
Ooh, Rabashanda. This just in. Trump is a UAP.
Sankrata.
All right.
We'll
We don't know
finish
about the
this.
Sankrata. That's a little bit fucking too much. Yeah,
Where are we
let's
at? We're
get through this
close.
shit.
We're close. We got 2 more pages. Okay, I got through the modes. Let's see. Did I
If
finish
that, we have
the?
like one page.
Yeah, yeah. I think mode 3. I don't know if I read that. Uh, A1 combines the functionality of the field and the component modes, producing specific anti-gravity effects on individual components while also generating any number of general-purpose gravity control fields. The same limitations that apply to the field generated in field mode apply to fields generated in this mode as well. But the ability to create multiple fields of differing parameters allow those limitations to be effectively circumvented in most situations. It is believed that this mode was used most commonly for managing the anti-gravitational needs of the original craft. On their own, A2 and A3 appear to be completely non-functional segments of a curved I-beam. However, when A1 is switched into component mode, their position and orientation in relation to A1's centroid are precisely enforced with an RSR, seen in Figure 4.4. Figure 4.4 is
What the heck? They have
down
a
here.
picture of
Yo,
it?
is that a picture of it on?
What the fuck? Are you kidding me, dog?
That
I
thing doesn't
just
look like
realized
it's
that
not
right
laying
now.
on the table. Let
What
me,
the
I need
shit?
the,
Well,
hold
no,
up.
that
Is this,
is that for real is. Yeah, where's the H? We're tripping. Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
think, oh my God.
Oh, they got pictures,
Yo,
fool.
the full size picture. I'm pretty sure this is when it's
Yeah,
on. Cause,
yeah.
look,
That is when it's on, dude. They're
the,
floating.
you notice how the legs of the anti-gravity device, they're in a different position.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they are in a different
That's the on
configuration. They're
position.
lined
And
up
this is like
before. They're
literally,
lined up before. Now they're not lined up. Yep.
dude. Because
Oh
look,
no,
you
they
can
are.
see the
They're still lined
shadow
up.
of the one I-beam, but there's no like shadow of the other one. So it's to me, it sounds like it's levitating like this.
Yeah, and the light source is coming from the top left, kind of
It
straight
could be from the
down.
top, but do you see? I'm just trying to figure out like why don't if the right
You see
one
a
wasn't
shadow on
on
the
the
right I
ground,
beam.
yeah. If it was on the ground, I think if it was closer to the ground, I would think we would see a shadow. But if it's up in the air, like because you see it, you see the shadow of it's probably top down lighting,
Yeah, top down lighting.
overhead top down
I
lighting.
would say that
So I
overhead,
see
top
that in
down.
the object and the left
Yep.
I beam, but we don't see it on
And
the
the
right,
camera
which
angle is a little
kind
bit
of
to the
looks
right
like.
offset. Yep.
Yeah.
So you
So
can't see the
I
shadow. Yeah.
that might legit be like when it's on. Because also look how the position, if this is an outer circle of a device, they are in a sort of symmetry here
Mm-hmm.
in positioning. Although I pictured when these were together, I pictured them being much closer together, like the broom
I
example.
thought they were gonna
If it was,
connect. I thought they were gonna
yeah,
connect,
yeah.
like touch. Yeah.
But there could be multiple parts to this whole system, and these just happen to be placed there and there. Okay,
Okay.
let's see. I don't know if we're getting too excited here. Like, let me go back. Does it actually
That should be
say?
my.
Does that say that these are
It says
that
what
it's
it said.
on?
Yeah.
So let's see. However, when A1 is switched into component mode, their position and orientation in relation to A1's centroid are precisely enforced with an RSR, seen in Figure
Okay, so
4.4.
that's in component mode,
Yeah, so I
not
think that's
field
when it's
mode
in
in the
component
camera.
mode and it's turned on. That's what I get from that.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're
It's
right.
turned
You're right.
on. In that photo, it's turned on. And RSR, what does that mean? I forget.
Remember that the the field that connects them invisibly when you could put your hand in between the two pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I described the RSR field.
Okay.
A rigid spatial relationship.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I guess in that figure, that's the spatial relationship
That's the
is that they are
rigid
positioned
spatial
there and
relationship
there,
in a circle, in a
and you
sphere.
could
Yeah.
you could run your hand through it at any point, which signifies that the device is actually like it's lifting them, only those
Yeah.
individual objects. Like you can move your around it. That's why they call it component mode, I guess, because it's specific to the
Mm,
components rather than a general field with any amount of distance or something like within the distance.
okay, so it generates a field, but the components themselves are responsible for how they react to the field.
So this is the mode that
Interesting.
keeps like the craft and the pieces together.
In place. Jesus Lord. I mean, it is a white background. If you're smart in Hollywood, you
Right.
could do some Photoshop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I didn't even know that in those photos they were claiming to
Me
show that it
neither.
was on.
That
Bro,
blew me. I
imagine
was like, is this a fucking real picture? God
imagine the
damn.
videos. Where's the videos?
Yeah, where's the vids? I want to see these things like turn on and start floating, dude. Fuck.
Oh, dude. I mean, yeah, I want to see these turned on. I mean, I would get turned on to see these turned
Yeah,
on.
right. Fucking legacy raid into the Palo Alto laboratory. Give me the anti-grav.
Yeah. Just like get that pocket size anti-grav, sneak it out.
Shit.
Pocket
Not figure out how to
grav.
work it for 100 years. Fuck your grav. Take pictures of it and flex with it on IG.
All right, here we go. Let's finish this. Yo, these CIA handlers, this is the first time they're hearing about this,
They're
probably.
staying in. Yeah, shout out to staying in. I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. My
Now,
job is to convert my CIA handler to my
yes.
side, to the legacy. Like, these
Yes.
guys are so real. I just gotta I gotta vibe with them, dog.
Look, we'll send you a t-shirt and you'll send us a personal anti-gravity generator.
We won't tell anybody. We won't do any episodes on it.
Full
Psych.
confidentiality, no NDAs.
Yeah. Our terms only. Sorry, big deep state. But the rest of this fucking shit looks redacted, dog.
Okay, well, so let's see. A2 and A3 are primarily differentiated by their lengths, 7.2 inches and 9.1 inches. Despite the differences in their lengths, both artifacts weigh approximately 2.6 ounces. That's weird.
Interesting.
I guess you could do that in a variety of ways.
Another big elephant in the room. Those ships are massive. How the fuck did they get this technology off of them?
Well, this is
Like,
a
they never
smaller
explained
version.
where they got it.
The pictures of the ships are massive, and
Are
he's just
huge.
saying he's not responsible for those pictures, but he recognized the language and the tech. So that's a large ship. What we're looking at the PDF is just something they've recovered from a smaller element or within a larger crash retrieval. Like it's
I was
within
about
a
to say, do you
larger
think one of
thing.
those big things fucking crashed and they retrieved it? Or it could be a
Well,
smaller scout ship from that big
it
ship,
was our technology that made them become visible, and he was saying that not only can it break the
right?
cloaking, it can bring them down sometimes.
Take him down.
Dude, imagine if one of those craft just fell out of the sky like in an
Oh,
urban
right.
area.
Someone would have to have noticed, dude. Somebody would have to have noticed.
While initial experimentation indicated that the artifacts were composed of a consistent solid material, experiments on A1's component mode suggest that the artifacts are more internally complex, somehow containing information that describes their position and orientation in relation to A1 when the mode is in effect. Whether or not they possess additional functionality beyond the storage of this information is currently unknown, but is considered likely due to the otherwise ambiguous purpose within the craft's design.
Yeah, look, I think it's safe to say there's a lot more modes that you guys didn't unlock yet. I don't think that's their only fucking configuration.
Bro, they turned on the Xbox and they found out how to go into the main menu. That's about it. They ain't even
That's
know how to play the
exactly,
video. They don't
yeah.
even know how to play the
Fucking
game.
video game. They can't log on, get on multiplayer, or nothing.
They're stuck in the main menu.
Fucking noobs. That's what the aliens are laughing at. Fuck. God damn, fool. This is a banger. This is fire right here.
That's why we on here.
The CARET,
I
man.
was livid when I read this. I was livid. I was like, how have I never heard this? This is like the best like leak.
Me too.
The best like leak of ET. It's like it's like technical document from Silicon Valley explaining a top level overview of how this works and like what they've discovered so far and all the stuff they haven't discovered that we're going to discover when we get those donations. Because we're gonna do CE5 and we're gonna get the AT's gonna gift us some anti-gravity devices. Jake Barber.
Don't be pissed when we show up with personal anti-grav in our pockets, dog.
Yeah, and don't try and take it from us, because that's rude.
No. Well, the ETs are hovering above us, so if you try that shit, you'll get your pineal gland exploded before you can reach the fucking door. I'm gonna be like, the rappers, so they hold like bricks of money to their ear.
Yeah, we're gonna have the
anti-grav device. I can't hear you guys. Dude, that's fucking sick, dude. This is a great pool. Programmable matter that you can write language on and it just does whatever the fuck you write on. Now that's advanced, dude. That's more advanced than what we have by far. We can think we're so advanced with computer codes. These guys have simplified it. Said fuck computer codes. We got programmable matter and you can just write on it and it'll do what it says. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, and here, so the rest is just images that we can kind of take a look at. So here it says figure 4.4, I-beam segments linked to the anti-gravity generator in an RSR. So it's quite clearly indicating that it's turned on in that photo.
Damn.
And look again, in that photo, these arms are in a different, are they in a different position? Am I tripping? Nah, they kind of look, they're in the same position when it's off. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking now at these last two, page 9 of the PDF and then page 10. I thought that the arms seemed to be in a different position, but they kind of look the same.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little bit the same.
Debunked.
The same picture, yeah.
We just got debunked.
We need more pictures, though. What's up, Palo Alto Laboratory? If you're still functioning, if you're a young gun that just came out of a college and you got fucking hired into the secret space program and you happen to have watched this video, pick up a burner phone, create a fake number, go to a Starbucks, join our Discord, and hit us the fuck up. Let us know what's up because we want to know about the RSR. We want to figure out what this matrix code programming. Give us the inside scoop. We're just putting that out there. We know it won't happen now, but in the future, we will have some type of protocol where you can come to us to whistle blow without anything being disclosed. You want to help us out? Spread the message. Fucking hit us up. Join that Discord. The legacyfhp at gmail.com if you want to join us. We're trying to build a fucking cosmic army that is founded in benevolent peace and growth with our brothers and sisters. So if you want to be part of this, you can join. Obviously, if you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, you're fucking up. So hit that subscribe button, dog. Hit it up. Hit it up. Hit it up. Hit that little bell notification. So if we drop, you are up to date. You'll be like, oh shit, they dropped. Then you can listen to us right there and then. I appreciate all the viewers that stayed for the entire time. This is just a random willy-nilly emergency broadcast that we decided to do, a cosmic road trip, and we discovered some golden nuggets.
D-Bake hit me up. We had just streamed earlier today, and then D-Bake texts me and is like, yo, you doing anything? I kind of feel like streaming again. And I was like, haha, you got that streaming buzz. And then I just left it there. I didn't say anything else. And then he hits me back up and he's like,
I sent you a Tyrone Biggums meme. Fucking Dave Chappelle itching at his neck.
Well, I was like, honestly, I was like, we already streamed. What are we gonna like? I'm good for the day. And then, but he hit me up again, and I was like, okay, we'll do this for Dedrick.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. And then little did we know, we opened up a portal, and the angels used our personalities to dispense truth. Fuck yeah!
It sounded maybe this was important to get out tonight. And instead of waiting for us to, I mean, we were eventually going to do an episode on this because it was in my archive. I had just researched this and got all the links and images. And now it's out in the world. Now smarter people than us are going to see this and brief us on what's really happening and email us with some videos. And some of these images are cool. These are cool. We don't have a high res of this, I don't think. But here you can see kind of these I-beam segments, maybe, like actually when they're held together in these gear. Like, yeah, bro. I mean, I got to be honest. Divine celestial technology, it's looking very mechanical, very gearhead.
It really is,
To
yeah.
me. So I think this is more of a mortal terrestrial technology rather than tapping into the code of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tending to agree with you on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and these other images here are. He did say that this was not titled correctly, linguistic analysis primer. He didn't explain why that was not titled correctly, but this does appear to be some sort of diagram with the characters and some lines interconnect these different characters, trying to maybe show a contextual relationship, but we are having a hard time making heads or tails what this is trying to show.
Yeah.
Even on this page, there's 2 question marks.
Yeah. It looks like Klingon writing to me. I have no fucking clue what it looks like.
That's funny. They took a pen and they were like, question mark right here. Whereas I'm like, question mark over the whole page in Sharpie.
Everywhere.
Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna like pop an eighth of shrooms and close my eyes with this paper over my face and maybe I'll understand it. But fuck yeah, dude. Another cosmic road trip. We love you guys. We fucking love you guys because we love being alive. This is amazing, right? Right now, you're listening to us. You're looking at me. You're seeing my facial expressions. We are here together in the physical dimension right now on planet Earth. I'm here. I'm real.
100
Just like
years
you,
ago,
you're real.
100 years ago, if you saw a live stream on a screen on your iPad, on an iPad, you would be like, "What is this extraterrestrial magic?" That's
Straight
us
up.
right now looking at this anti-gravity technology. We're like, "What is this extraterrestrial celestial magic?" This was in the 80s, bro. We can figure it out. You can do it. You got to join the legacy because you can do it with us and tell us what's going on.
Amen. Amen. And if you want to fucking do it with us together, like I said, together we can fucking do it. Check out the link in the description. We got shirts for sale. I know it sounds fucking hacky and corny, but this is how we have to operate on planet Earth. Unfortunately, because we're restricted to financial means of progress, we need the shit. In order to build the kingdom, we need it. So, link in the description. We got shirts for sale, $30, $21 in manufacture. We're only making like an $8.50 profit. And every time you buy one, we accumulate it, we save it, and we're trying to save up for a building and an application, so that you can just go on your phone, boom, click that shit, and you have your own personalized mind, body, spirit program, and you get access to these type of live streams and even more secret ones that we're not going to put out on public. So,
yeah, right.
We know the planet needs to advance.
Keep going.
We know the planet needs to advance. We know we're going to get there at some point in time. So we just want to know what people are going to step up and do it. We decided we want to step up and do it. And we know you guys at home are also stepping up and you guys want to fucking contribute to the cause. So together, we can get this shit accomplished. Keep tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Buy a shirt. And let's fucking take over the world. That's it. Ain't nothing else. Let's take over the world. No more lollygagging. No more on the fence about it. Let's fucking do it. Let's take over the world. So,
yeah.
Subscribe. Join the legacy today.
And disclosure might not come from the government. Might come from our live streams and Jake Barber's Skywatch HQ and Stephen Greer, who has been working on this for way longer than us. So we got a lot of giants and champions that have come before us, and we are just
Forbes killing it.
part of the journey for cosmic truth and in a better world, more peaceful world. But we know that you can't just release this anti-gravity technology, which can be weaponized. We need to raise the spiritual and moral consciousness of the entire planet. So don't ever forget that mission is equally important, even more important to your personal happiness than getting an anti-gravity generator. However,
Oof, now you're talking.
if you can take on a spiritual consciousness and you can portray that to other people who also follow suit because they understand it is a better way, this will create a society in which we can release anti-gravity technology and not hurt each other and fight over it.
God damn. He just told you the fucking secret. You listening out there? God damn. Real talk. You got anything else to say to the people?
No, that's it. Just, you heard it. You already heard it.
We love you. In hearts and minds, we are together. No matter where we are on planet Earth, if we hold these concepts in our minds together, we are brothers and sisters. The kingdom of heaven, baby, it's at hand. Let's go. John the Baptist, let's fucking go. Hit that subscribe button.